keyboard shortcuts?
Yeah, you got to do that for the if you're doing like two separate webcams. Like that's the best way to.
No, that was great. In the car, Jeff was telling me about how he actually has a signed copy of Rules for Radicals.
Is that true?
He met Saul Alinsky.
Yeah, I did. We had an encounter. No, I'm kidding.
That could have been any Jew. You would never know.
It was just he looked like him. I think he was like a lookalike. I met him on Craigslist. Casual. He had a
Missed
wig
encounters.
On. Like, hey, yeah, exactly, yeah.
I saw you.
And it was just a way to get me into the movement, which I ran away. You know, they were going to try to roofie me, but I'm like, no, I know too much. I know the plan.
I think Rohypnol is like rule number 8. If I
yeah, there's 13 rules. Rule number 8, Rohypnol.
Rohypnol, yeah, that's
and then that way, then rule number 9 is then compromise your target with what happened after rule 8.
Right.
They got all the photographs and, you know.
Yeah. Roofie a guy and then convince him to like fuck a farm animal or something.
Yeah. Exactly.
Something that you can hold against him. But it works, you know. The
There's
rules,
no arguing with it.
The rules work.
Like Epstein did that, you know. Like the theory there is that all the like he would photograph sometimes discreetly, sometimes willingly, photograph. But he had all these. There's a thing that came out on, I forgot who it was. One of the women that was on that island had she tapped into or got the tape from surveillance cameras that were all around that island. So she's got, like, there's black and white. It's like security, what do you call that? Like a screenshot?
Footage, yeah.
Like a still shot off of a video from the security camera. And it's like all these politicians. And so, but the theory is that it was to allow Epstein to have that dirt on them so that then he could get into powerful, favors and all that.
Yeah, we have this debate frequently whether or not the occultist rituals that were happening on that island were of any importance or not, if it was all just to get blackmail on these politicians.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that angle. I've just figured the more simple, okay, here he is, fucking somebody that he shouldn't be, and then that's what you get him on.
No, exactly, right. So then you have blackmail on everybody so that if they are clearly going to support whatever policy you tell them to, because you've got video footage of them eating a dead Syrian boy.
Right.
Or a living Syrian boy.
Or a living Syrian boy, yeah.
Why do I discriminate?
Deep fried, whatever you want.
Yeah, it's not really...
Who cares?
Not an issue.
Well, the one that I thought was interesting recently that I read is that, so Ghislaine Maxwell, her father is Robert Maxwell, and he's like a top agent of the Mossad, Israeli intelligence, and so... That was one of the ways that that Epstein got recruited. Because have you read his backstory? Like he was some kind of math teacher or something. He had no experience with actual finance or anything.
Yeah. You're telling me he taught elementary school?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or it was either elementary or middle school or something like that.
Taught middle school, and he had a way with kids.
I think that.
Boy.
I think that, like at the whatever the what do you call that, the like the Israeli embassy, like they were just hanging out and they were plotting some shit, and then Jeffrey Epstein was just wandering around, like he's an adult retarded man in this theory.
Yeah.
And he's just wandering around listening to he's like Radio from the movie Radio, and he's just wandering around with a shopping cart, and they're like, that guy, let's get him.
Yeah. He'll work.
Let's get him and put the island in his name, and then we'll like. Yeah. There's actually a guy who did a whole book about Sandusky, Jerry Sandusky, and the whole Penn State
football guy. Yeah.
And he said like his whole thing, the whole point of the book is that he believes Sandusky is actually innocent. He's just basically mentally retarded, and he didn't know, like he got scared and confused like during the whole investigation, and kind of these people that wanted money or whatever like took advantage of him. And
wow.
So there was no foul play going on whatsoever. They were just trying to denigrate the
No, like probably one kind of. This is the theory. I don't know, but like one kind of amoral scam artist dude was like, I'm gonna accuse Sandusky of fucking me, and then other people kind of saw that and whatever, you claimed maybe something had happened, and then you get into like psychiatrists, like pulling false memories out of you or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. The only thing when they said that Jerry Sandusky is basically a moron. That kind of added up to me, like in a way that, like, not Epstein really doesn't. Epstein seems sentient, but every interview I've seen with Jerry Sandusky, I'm like, that guy could have like a 75 IQ. He could have like
it's like
a Forrest
making a
Gump kind of a thing.
Yeah, the false confession they got out of Brandon. What was the kid's name? Making a murderer.
Right.
Like his stepson.
Yeah, I forget his name.
But he was basically slow, like functionally disabled, mentally disabled, and you can see the cops coercing the kid, and he has no idea. He just doesn't. It doesn't compute, so he doesn't even know what he's confessing to.
Right.
Basically.
They're like, and then and then what did you do late? Like, have you've watched
Like
Making a Murderer?
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh man, it was like it's like a 10-hour thing, but it was like at the time it was like interesting. Like I watched the whole thing in one day.
Yeah.
But yeah, they basically like extract. They do that shit all the time. Cops do that. Like if you look at their manual.
Well, it
for
sounds like there's a
interrogations.
market for making a pedophile
Yeah.
Yeah.
coming this fall to NBC. Making a pedophile.
With Jerry Sandusky.
Oh god, that reminds me of on SNL they had this skit where Dwayne the Rock Johnson was on it, where before he comes into the skit, the setup is that this is the annual meeting of the Mad Scientist Convention, and at first we have Queen Antarctica. She gets up and says, "I have developed a shrink ray." Oh yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, take a seat. The next guy, Baron von whatever. Yes, I have a freeze ray, and I will be able to freeze all the monuments and the statues. Okay, that's good too. Very diabolical. Okay, who's next? And then Dwayne The Rock Johnson, just in like a lab coat, comes in and he goes, "Hi everybody. Thanks for having me. My name is Roy, and for the world's most evil invention, I have designed and built a child molesting robot." and they're all horrified. They're like, "What? Yeah, a child molesting robot. My God, what the hell?" They're all outraged. So the joke is that basically these are the evil people, and he's pointing out that they're horrified that he's actually evil.
Yeah.
And he goes,
No, they're upset that they're like, why would you have a robot do all the fun stuff?
Yeah.
yeah.
We don't need a robot to do all the... What? What are you talking about?
What?
It's like having a robot that you program to rob a bank and then spend the money.
Exactly, yeah.
But the part that cracked me up, though, is that what you reminded me of in the scene is where they're like, how would you even do that? How do you build a child molesting robot? What you do is you build a regular robot and then you molest it and hope that it repeats the cycle. That was just brilliant.
Yeah. That's good.
Because that's how any pedophile is built, I assume.
I'm so confused as to how we got, like, the conspiracy world got from, like, 9/11 and being like, they're missing however many millions of dollars, like on September 10th, wasn't it? Rumsfeld.
Oh yeah,
was it Rumsfeld?
$3 trillion.
$3 trillion.
Yeah, whatever.
$3 trillion, like an
They confiscated all
insane
the
amount of
Federal
money.
Reserve gold.
So like we went from there to like, and like now they have an island where they're fucking kids. It's like,
yeah.
I don't know whether or not they're. A part of me is just like all at this point is that all this pedophile stuff is just somehow like a psyop to keep us from being like, yeah, but what about that $3 trillion? Like, don't ever bring
That's a
that
good
up.
point,
And this
yeah.
is the best way to distract you is by, this like the most
misdirection.
salacious
What does a
story.
magician do? They're like, hey, look at this.
Look
and
at the
then this-
pedophiles.
and then right here is what you're actually,
Right, yeah.
the quick change or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Building number 6.
This is the
that's
problem with
real-
the conspiracy world, though, is like how could you ever possibly know what is a psyop from what? I mean, now you're saying, listen,
This is a psyop.
granted. Hundreds of thousands of children have been raped. But can we talk about the national debt?
Right.
That's
Good
basically
point.
the point you're making.
Good point. That's
Like,
that's not the point I was making. That was an idea that I had. Let's not pin me down.
You
to that.
said you don't care about child rape. You care about money.
I only
Yeah,
care.
let's...
I
heard you.
I can care about both.
True. But, here's the the phenomenon that I've seen over the decade. I'm a little bit older than you guys. But I remember that... So in the early 90s, it's interesting because conspiracy theories, and they used to call them the lunatic fringe, is the people that would like really get into the conspiracy stuff. They used to have like bookstores, and there was a publisher that I think they're dead now, but they were around for a long time. It was called Pioneer Press, and it's like you had to find them through a guy who knew a guy. And it was just almost like these pamphlets. And I remember thumbing through. Do you guys remember Newsland? There were two locations, like giant bookstore, magazine and bookstore out in Aurora, like Chambers and Mississippi. They had one there and one in Arvada. And so the main room was all just every magazine that known to man, like Popular Mechanics to Playboy to everything. And then over in the back corner was like porn books, like erotica books on one wall, and then on the other wall was all this Pioneer Press like fringe stuff. And there's like a whole book on black helicopters. That was like the big thing back then. And
the black choppers were huge.
Yeah, black chopper, and they had like very bad black and white, low resolution photos of just a silhouetted regular Huey in olive drab green. But oh my God! But no, it's black. Look at it. It's like no, I can tell that's just a regular hue. But so that was the big thing. And then I remember there was a book called Sham, but SHAM had the little period. It was like an acronym, and it meant Socialist, Humanist, and Marxist. And so this is like 1993, and this guy back then was talking about how it was these Frankfurt School Marxists got together with what were they called? The Secular Humanist organization.
Yeah.
And they came up with there were 3 drafts of this thing called the Humanist Manifesto, but it was basically the Communist Manifesto with like different language. And what was my point? So here's like what I've noticed is that all these different conspiracies have been around for a long time, but nobody knew about it. It was just kind of in the back rooms you talk about it. But now with the internet, all of that fringe it's mainstream now. Well, because anybody has access to it.
That was the thing, like around 2016, 2015 or whatever, when like Alex Jones had like a resurgence or whatever. I don't even know if it was technically a resurgence. It was like really like his rise to like prominence and shit after he'd been on Rogan's podcast or whatever. Yeah. But I remember back in, and I'm like still in, like there are people much earlier than me but like I remember, I think it was 2008 or something like that. That my buddy had to physically give me like Alex Jones DVDs.
Oh yeah, the Terror Storm.
Terror Storm was actually one of them, and Endgame was the other one.
Endgame, yep. Bohemian Secrets of the Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, that one I didn't see till years later. But like somebody had to like physically hand you this shit, and that so like by the time everybody else started freaking out about Alex Jones, I'd already like gone into Alex Jones and like freaked out for a couple of years and then like lost interest or whatever.
Yeah.
So it was bizarre but that's like,
first time I heard him was on the old Art Bell show.
Right. Fuck
like,
yeah.
I'd be coming home from like I worked graveyard as a security guard years ago in the early 2000s, and he'd be on there talking about
black choppers.
Like the black choppers was the big thing, and he was
black choppers. They flying around.
They fly around. I got them orbiting, and you got them, and then over on the across the fence,
These goddamn globalists are trying to take over the world. It's all written on the Georgia Guidestones. You can see it.
And if you go down to St. Louis, there's an old rail yard that they've converted into the first FEMA camp. And you can see them testing animals in there.
Dude.
That's going to be our kids. They're goddamn kids. Sorry, am I being too loud?
You're fine. Jade Helm and shit.
Yeah.
But that they just don't like. It's the same thing like you were talking about. Like you were hearing about this like Frankfurt School communist takeover shit in like the early 90s. I was watching like old Dana Carvey show episodes.
Oh man. Okay.
And they were like doing bits about fucking Pat Buchanan. And they like literally calling him Hitler and like all the same shit that they now say about Trump. So it's like when you get to a certain point, you see like, hey, this is just when people are like Trump says like unique evil or whatever. It's like, hey, I know you were born in 1997, but in fucking 92 they were saying the same shit about Pat Buchanan.
Yeah,
who was like pretty decent for a neocon, you know what I mean?
So what you're saying is 20 years down the road, NBC will be talking about how our president is an interdimensional being.
Right. No, exactly.
who has come here from
like,
another...
Donald Trump's going to be like dancing on Ellen and fucking, everything's going to be... or like, and people will be reminiscing about like...
Well, Ellen was already executed. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She's a clone.
They sent her to Gitmo. She was executed, and who you see now is
it's actually Kim Jong-un wearing a Ellen mask.
Well, they have simulation robots now, yeah.
Yeah.
And Kim Jong-un is actually his sister.
Right.
And he's taken over, so yeah.
Well, they have to switch the genders. That's part of the Luciferian
gender...
plot.
That's actually like I read a whole thing on how in Hollywood there's the gay casting couch, but it's also in the hip-hop industry. So Quincy Jones apparently... according to one of these whistleblowers, said that Quincy Jones is one of the high priests of the Temple of Set, which General Michael Aquino was the leader of that for a while. He was actually Anton LaVey's second-hand man in the original Church of Satan. And they would go around claiming that, we use Satan, it's the word adversary. We don't believe in a real devil. We're atheists.
Right.
But behind the scenes, they were fucking and eating children.
Sure.
So they were...
But only, like, in effigy. I mean, they're real kids, but it's like...
Yeah.
We don't believe this is magical. We're just doing a ritual.
We're just doing it for fun.
Right,
basically.
yeah.
And then if you want to go down another rabbit hole, look up Michael Aquino and the Presidio daycare scandal.
That was the one with, like, the underground tunnels and shit?
Yeah. And there were like 37 different kids on a mugshot pointed him out as the rapist, and it was going to court. They had like just more evidence than anything you've ever seen, and then all of a sudden a week before trial the judge says, oh no, this is bullshit, this is just all nothing to see here, and he went scot-free, never had a charge.
What's weird is that in college they taught us about in like whatever
multiple accusers.
I did one year of community college, so but they in like my psych class they used that as an example when they were teaching us about like false memories, like the implanting of false memories. They were like, this is a textbook case where there's no other answer other than these children were making it up or they were pushing. Like that's how.
And you're right. That could be
like.
The
there's
case.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
so Aquino may have been completely. Yeah, he may
either
not.
that or as crazy as it sounds, the entire university system is in on it. Like,
yeah,
which I think is.
That's true, but anyway, it's interesting because basically, where was I going? There was the Temple of Set thing that what's his name? Oh yeah. The wacko conspiracy was that the gay casting couch in the hip hop industry. The guy was saying that Quincy Jones is in that group, and you know if you want him to advance your career, you have to become a member of the Temple of Set, and he has to penetrate you anally. That's one of the initiation rites, apparently. So, and then they're turning our frogs gay. I don't know. It's like, but it's. I think here's what I think though is that could it be that with Aquino and Quincy Jones, all these quote unquote whistleblowers, they come out and they make these unbelievable claims like that, to hide the thing that's just this side of that. You know what I mean? It's like, what do you call that? Controlled opposition or something like that?
Yeah. Isn't that what they call Alex Jones all the time, is controlled opposition? Or
that's what they say he is now. I mean, it's actually kind of plausible now because he's become fairly center-right.
Right.
Now it's sort of a kind of basically Trump positive news.
That's what's weird, though, is like, I don't, like, me and, a group of my friends and shit, we all were familiar with Alex Jones. And if you would have, submitted to any of us that Alex Jones was right wing, I think we would have been confused about that.
Right.
It didn't read as right wing to us at the time.
And even now, I don't, a lot of the things that, I don't know, he's kind of all over the place lately. I mean, do you guys remember, what was it, last year or the year before? He got not just banned off of YouTube, but shadow banned on all these other, like Twitter and all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, when I see that, it's like, okay, wait a minute. That seems fishy to me because you're the same people who goes, oh, yeah, he's a conspiracy nut, and, they kind of make fun of him or whatever. But then why would you take him off when he's making you millions of dollars, the being monetized and everything like that, unless, God, what's the quote? I just read a quote where it said, who rules over you when you can't criticize them.
Yeah.
He clearly hit on something. I mean, the Sandy Hook thing is very interesting because that's really what shut him up. And looking into the Sandy Hook thing, they apparently, these people came to his house and were
right. They like some guy went to the one of the victim's parents' house or something. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, supposedly these Sandy Hook victims all stormed his place. Sandy Hook victim. I mean, listen, how hard is it if you're going to replicate, if you can get crisis actors to pretend their children were, I mean, how hard is it really? First of all, George Soros, if you can create an entire movement, how hard would it be to just do a march at a dude's house? Like, you don't need that much money. I could probably get a
decent
protest going that would scare somebody.
Sure. Put it on IMDb.
There's nothing scarier to me than beginning actors.
They're amoral, degenerate people. My theory is that Sandy Hook did actually happen as was told to us. The reason that the elites are so mad about it is because they were planning on fucking those kids and
I
killed
was
them.
actually going to say that those kids didn't die; they're on the island.
Those kids were perfectly fuckable, and you shot them, Adam Lanza, you monster.
That's fairly mainstream. The original idea was that they were Haitian kids from the Clinton Foundation. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, did you hear about the woman who? This was recent. So she was the head of the Rescue the Children Foundation, and then she herself got caught kidnapping 38 kids.
Absolutely.
Through that foundation, and then guess who was immediately on the plane to go bail her out?
Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Alex Jones.
She got on the Pantsuit Express and flew on down to 80.
They borrowed the same
Bail
plane
out of
that
best
was the
friend.
Lolita Express, but it's the Pantsuit Express.
Yeah. This is good. We've tied in a lot. This is the closest we've gotten to an Illuminatus, just tying literally every conspiracy theory.
Yeah, we're
together.
getting close here.
We're only 20 minutes. We can finish it out. We can get the rest of them in there. We just got to think about what they are. We have Bohemian Grove in there.
So here's something that again that I read about. This is where just how scary the unfolding, all the stuff that we're
that was scary.
Just that was, and
you gotta keep an eye out for that chair. It'll suck you in.
Well, and my weight.
Right. Well,
I'm going to start running again. But so in around
For the goddamn Clinton Foundation. These chairs don't work anymore.
they're putting MSG in the stuff that I eat.
it's turning me into a turtle. I can't.
Yeah. They're what is that called? Gang stalking. They're gang stalking me, and they know where I go to my 7-Eleven to get my breakfast burrito, and they're sneaking in and lacing it with the whatever neurotoxin to control my mind.
Yeah.
So, but it's again, Soros is behind. It's like, okay, we know where he lives, and around 11 in the morning he comes to get the burrito. So I don't know.
I have a hard time believing Soros can control public opinion, but he can't even get a decent facelift.
Well,
You can't afford
no,
Botox.
it's
You
not-
can afford to
well,
finance an entire
No, here's the
fake
thing.
social movement, and you can't even make your face look. I mean,
No,
like,
you know
he's
why,
not even a
though?
lizard person. This guy
Yeah.
is just melting.
But
He-
that's because he can't get the adrenochrome lately since the shutdown.
Is that what it is?
No. I think it's an aesthetic choice that he's like, listen, if you want to get the best adrenochrome, it's in your interest to make your physical, visage or whatever is that where
Visage.
whatever, as horrifying as possible. Imagine getting fucked by like
Newt Gingrich.
Newt Gingrich, and now
I do frequently.
Yeah. Well, how else are you gonna come?
Oh, did you guys see how he was
Pinching my nipples as we speak.
Did you guys see the segment where he starts talking about Soros? Newt Gingrich was on Fox News, and he started saying, well, George Soros has been funding these district attorneys, and then on Fox News, both female hosts were like, no, we don't talk about George Soros.
Really?
And yeah, it's a whole thing. And he goes, oh, really? Well, I thought you brought me on to give my opinion on what's going on, and he's at the center of it. Nope, we're going to change the subject here. And he goes, oh, okay, cool. It's verboten. That was the clip.
Wow.
And so it's lit up the whole, conspiracy.
When did this happen?
Like a week or 2 weeks ago.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah,
Fuck.
it was freaky because you can see them just go cold. Like, no, don't talk about Soros.
Yeah, those blonde anchors on Fox News are stone-faced. I mean, they talk about lizard people. I don't even know what the fuck those people are. Like,
Those are the Zeta
they're not even
reticul-
lizards.
Yeah, they're the
They're
greatest.
literally out-lizard a guy named Newt.
God damn it.
This guy's named Newt. They're like fucking stone cold staring at him. We don't talk about that on Fox
one
News.
of them licks
Newt.
their eye.
The show is still going on, actually.
Fuck.
Welcome back
Newt.
to the Invertebrate Network.
Welcome back to Sunning Yourself on a Rock on Fox Business.
Oh, so I remember. So like in 1991, around that time is when I started kind of hearing the first things about conspiracy theories, because I had gone through something in '88, which was a fucking psyop of its own, and it's too long of a story to go into, but it was like pure mental trauma. I was in a psych ward for 5 weeks because of the resulting just the crash and everything. But when I recovered, I'm like, okay, I got to find out what all that weird shit was. And accidentally, I stumbled on this. I still have this book. It was written in 1991 by this group called the Council of 300, which is part of the Club of Rome. This is like a real organization, and their book is called The First Global Revolution. And in that book, it lays out. So basically, they're a think tank, and they're basically like, well, see, all the problems of the world, we've decided that they're all solvable by our philosophy. So here's how we're going to conform the rest of the world to our grand plan. And it's freaky when you read it now because it's the same type of scenario that, you know what Event 201 was last year? Event 201 was like a war game. It was like a simulation of exactly the pandemic, the shutdown, and all that
Yeah,
shit.
it's this agenda.
It's part of Agenda 21.
Yeah.
Well, this book, The First Global Revolution by the Club of Rome, is the precursor to, if you read Agenda 21, it comes out of that book.
Okay.
And so that's the entrance into the Illuminati.
I think those guys might be the ones that like erected the Georgia Guidestones. I
Could
think,
be. They
because the Georgia Guides.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like the
keep the world, maintain the world population under 500 million.
yeah. So yeah.
A new living language.
Yeah.
Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. They have to say it twice. It was so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must be code for something.
Yeah, I think it's all like double meanings and stuff.
Yeah, you don't erect. Like, imagine if we like decided that we were going to erect a giant like stone, like monument. Like, you got to be pretty motivated by what you're gonna. You know what I mean? You're not just like putting that up on a lark.
Yeah,
it's.
This guy, whoever. And it's funny because
This is what's curious to me, though. Is it just hiding in plain sight, though? Like, what if you really have the ability to generate some sort of intellectual magic to do some sort of agenda for your cause? Why would you go to the trouble of making it publicly viewable?
Well, because so this goes into. And the guy I mentioned, the Presidio guy I mentioned, he actually did a podcast before he died last year where he's come out of the whole Temple of Set stuff, and he goes, I'm more of a Buddhist now, or more of a, he didn't say that, like Rosicrucian, some weird
Rosicrucian,
thing.
Yeah, those Rosicrucians.
And he basically says that, he goes, there's greater magic and lesser magic, and to make your will manifest, he goes, this is what witchcraft actually is. To put that in motion, you must cryptically announce it before you do it. And
That's hiding in plain sight. That's
it gives you a path for the thing to happen.
Okay, so you think it is this kind of announcement?
I don't know
to the world that this is what you're doing.
I don't know if it is actually that, but they believe it is.
Well, that's a frequent occultist principle that if you are transparent in some way, then it is karmically viable.
Yeah, you're getting around the problem of deception. Yeah,
exactly.
Karmically.
Yeah, you're saying this is what I'm doing, and the people go, "Yeah, I'm stupid. I'll bend over." Sure.
Yeah.
Just tell me what you're gonna do.
I'm gonna fuck you in the ass. Just kidding, but am I?
Right.
Hey, I'm gonna take your daughter to an island and fuck her to death. Oh, sure, have her back by 4. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
Right.
like you fuck with the.
It's like that Norm Macdonald bit where he's like, "You can be honest. You can be totally honest if you just say everything in a sarcastic accent."
honey.
I'm the greatest serial killer who ever lived. I'm just trying to rape and kill your whole family and then move on to the next town and do it again. Of course.
I married you just to get to your sister. I want to fuck your sister. Oh, no, for real.
No, I'm the bad guy in this situation. You're the victim.
Goddamn, he's good.
It's all of reality is just a bad Norm Macdonald joke.
Really, it is.
We're all living in the moth joke.
Every time I peak on acid, I just start laughing at Norm Macdonald. That's the peak of the acid trip. That's when everybody else is closest to God. I'm like, hey, remember that one where he was talking about getting jerked off in a cheesecake factory? Great, it's gold.
It's weird, though, because then there's like a counter argument that says, I read this years ago, like right after 9/11, and this author talked about how, so you have a phenomenon that, he goes, so conspiracy theory, there's a difference between actual conspiracies that 2 or more people conspired to do some shady shit. Watergate, Nixon, that was a conspiracy. The JFK thing was a conspiracy. He goes, but the problem I have is all the complex, fucked up shit that happens globally all the time. There's a temptation to get into what he calls the grand conspiracy. That, this and this and this, and everything that's ever happened is the Illuminati. And he says the problem with that psychologically is that it allows you to just kind of explain what can't be. It's like a weird comfort zone kind of thing. Mm-hmm.
It's like a religion.
Yeah, like a religion. And so he actually gave Alex Jones as an example, and he says, Alex Jones is a master of just taking all kinds of different news pieces and then connecting the dots. But if you go down the rabbit trail of all the boring facts of each thing that he takes, they're not connected at all. They're really mundane, actually. But he's able to say, this guy was caught jaywalking. That's what Epstein did, and like
right, like they're like, I read this document from the.
I have the documents right here.
Yeah, I read this document written, penned by the, U.S. military, and also there's a bunch of boarded up Walmarts. Clearly, what they're going to do with these is build.
Yeah, those are the FEMA camps.
We're all going to be gassed in the housewares section of an old Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems so easy for people to go in like a genuinely like schizophrenic kind of like putting facts. That's why conspiracy theories get so exhausting after a while. Like I said, probably when I was like 17 or something was when I started getting into conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
And most people I know, I think got into them like a lot later. But by now I'm just exhausted because I've just seen so many people that like start out with something interesting and then.
Well, you've been to a Walmart, you breathed in the air that they're circulating, and now you don't
now I'm
care
calm.
anymore. Yeah.
Exactly. Everything's right as far as I'm concerned.
So in '88, when I was in that psych ward, I remember one day basically what I was in for was it was a severe anxiety, depression, kind of like not really a psychotic break, but just kind of a breakdown.
Yeah, sure.
But anyway, one day I go up to the hospital cafeteria to have lunch, and this quite attractive older blonde lady sat down, and I'm like, oh, hey, hi, Phyllis, good to see you. And I go, by the way, what are you in for again? Me being socially on point,
Yeah.
And she basically says to me, wide-eyed like this, she goes, well, what they say I'm in here for is that here's what happened. It all started when I came home from the dentist, and I told my husband that while I was under, they put a radio transmitter into my filling.
Classic.
And they've been talking to me. The dentist, he works for the government, and he's been feeding me information through the radio transmitter in my filling. And then I told that to my husband, and he had me committed. So he's working for them also.
Right.
And I'm thinking, my response was that, okay, so you went to the dentist, got a filling, and now you're hearing his voice in your head. What's he telling you to do? Make sure to brush and floss, or
what?
Drink Gatorade.
Drink Gatorade. But I thought.
Was it?
But back then, I thought I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go get some more shrimp from the buffet, and I thought,
how is that? How is that so? Such a common. Like you experienced somebody that was genuinely saying that.
And she was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia.
Sure. But how are multiple people all around, I'm sure the globe, certainly, like to the point that now it's cliche. Like if I said that, if I wrote a bit where I was giving an example of being crazy, and I said radio transmitter in my tooth, I think anybody that's
back in
anybody of any culture would be like, that's a hack.
Yeah, she wasn't hacked, though. She was the first one that invented that.
Back then it would have killed. But now it would be... So how is it that common of a thing?
Okay, well, let's get into this one then, because you guys apparently think there's nothing to this one.
No, that's the opposite of what I just said.
Modern dentistry is all Nazi science.
Well,
and the fillings are bizarre. The fluoride is bizarre. I don't know if you can get radio signals from it, but I don't understand how... Let's say that it is if there is a void in your tooth mass, that if you do not fill it with some material, that you will likely get an infection. Let's take that for granted. Okay. Why would I have a few fillings. They hurt. They're my only teeth that hurt ever. They hurt constantly. I just think it's, if nothing else, it's just bad. It's a bad idea. Same with fluoride as water additive. It's just a bad idea. Why are we using?
Because I want to.
Why are we using metals?
I agree with you. This is what I'm saying.
Heavy
is
metals.
like one. Like I mean, the obvious, the simple answer is to be like, well, but, whatever. Like brush it off. Like people know about radios and people have teeth, so why not think? Why would your brain not put those things together as a hallucination or as a delusion or whatever? But really, like if you look at the USSR at its peak. It was a crazy amount. It was like 1 in 4 people were government agents, and that was like documented.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it's the same thing in North Korea. It's like everybody's like ratting on their own family. They have like so if there is a perfectly reasonable argument that your dentist it does work for the federal government or in some capacity, and or that he doesn't even know that he's implanting these chips in your head. I mean, it's
the thing is like
the people that think that those people like are just crazy. I feel like their main problem is they lack imagination. It's like it's not that.
Well, and back then, I'm like, oh boy, yeah, she's crazy. Now I think back on that, and I'm like, no, she wasn't. That seems like a plausible thing, but back then, in my mind, it wasn't.
Right.
At the very least, let's say it is. There's no human intention behind it. We are just being foolish and experimenting medically and putting different metals in the body, trying to help. At the very least, when you put different materials in your biology, in your nervous system, if you have a particularly sensitive nervous system, it may give you different perceptions.
Well, no. So like. This front tooth here, that was like they didn't use like a metal of any kind. It's like some sort of epoxy.
Like ceramic
that's why it's white. And that filling only says like positive affirmations to me.
Right.
So
it's like the
it's
metal.
Plastic is good for the environment.
just
Use more Tupperware.
drink more Sprite.
This
Throw
goes
the
in a
bottle in a
different
ditch.
direction, but like back in the 80s, the Satanic Panic was a big thing. Like rock music, heavy metal, they would backmask. The church that I went to back then, on Sunday nights they'd have guest speakers, and I remember these two guys.
The Church of Jethro Tull.
Church of Tull, yeah, exactly.
Church of Tull.
Because they were anti-heavy. They wanted him to get the best metal artist of whatever year that was. Remember that?
Church
Metallica was pissed when that happened.
Yeah.
But these guys were basically saying that they're like, so we've listened to all these backward messages from the devil, and here's the thing. We don't encourage you to go and spin your records backward. All you got to do is look at the message that's being put forward, and that's all you need to know. Everybody's a devil worshiper. But the part that cracked me up is that the other guy chimes in and says, and here, when we do listen to him backwards, it's interesting. It's always a negative, murder your parents and all this shit. You never hear an uplifting message like, be sure and eat your Brussels sprouts, Maynard. And I swear, I want to record a song and put that in there, the Brussels sprout thing.
Well,
but it's
just look at the horrifying things that an evil Satanist like Ozzy Osbourne was saying. Things like maybe it's not too late to learn how to love and forget how to hate.
Yeah, I mean, that's pure
the
devil
worship.
Yeah,
a demon would whisper in your ear if he was like. At no point, maybe it is out there, but I've never heard a metal song that's like buy an island and build a temple whose color scheme is
you haven't
eerily
heard
similar to the Israeli
Temple
flag.
by Iron Maiden. They were laying out the exact. I mean, it was hidden. Sorry, I talked over you. What just?
It's fine. It'll work in post. It'll trust me.
All right. Okay.
Also, could be the flag of Greece. Let's not be too judgmental about blue and white.
That does. And by the way, that gold dome.
Listen. If Epstein had like a kiosk or a something like that at the end of his name, yeah, maybe. But it was Epstein.
We do know he was into anal from that album or from that island though, because you've never heard Greek style. You know what that is? Hey, are you going to do her Greek style? It means in the ass. So of course he's got
I thought
the
Greek style was between the thighs. That's what I was told in history class.
Oh, I'm from Wisconsin, though. There's no Greeks up there, so it easily could have been a lie.
Yeah, or just it's like Chinese telephone.
Yeah.
You know.
Or deliberate misinformation because they didn't want me to know the actual truth.
Or they didn't want you to associate with Greeks. They were like, listen, we don't need Greeks here in Kenosha or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And here we go back to Kenosha.
Unfortunately, I know a bunch of towns in like Appleton, and I know towns
Madison,
in Wisconsin.
the capital, Milwaukee.
Yeah, I know all
biggest
those,
city-
but Kenosha for some reason was at the tip of my tongue. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean it's
burning
to the ground as we speak, you know. I mean, but like, yeah, it's just, but it's interesting because even back then that was my first intro to kind of the conspiracy mindset that, oh my God, they're like, and here's the funny thing, these guys would say, okay, so we're gonna show you that it's not just heavy metal, it's in regular nice rock songs, like we're gonna play a clip, Another One Bites the Dust by popular group Queen.
Oh, yeah.
And,
fun to smoke marijuana.
Yeah. Well, they tell you before you hear the backward thing what you're going to hear.
Yeah, that one's horseshit.
It's absolute horseshit. But,
okay,
but if you're being
Let's
told...
talk about that for a second, because the Pink Floyd one is not. That one was clearly engineered.
Yeah, Sheep from the Animals
You
album.
have found the secret message
on
the wall.
Yeah,
some of them are engineered. That's a gag. The
accidental ones.
Stairway to Heaven one is interesting at the very least.
What does it say?
Oh, Christ,
there was a
you're the
little tool shed where he made us suffer, sad Satan. He made.
Well, it says
me
my
give you
sweet
666,
Satan.
my sweet Satan. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. I mean, it just says Satan over and over again. It may be
Oh,
coincidence.
and by the way, I'll prove something to you guys. All I have to do is say the word yes. And if you play that backwards, it sounds like I just said Satan. Yes, Satan.
Oh yeah,
Like the little
the little
no. Inhale is
dude. I
is
went
that
on
really
this.
how easy it is?
I went on this.
Man.
Well, because I did that. I took a Triumph album when I was in 10th grade, and it sounded like I thought I heard Satan, and it's every time I heard it, he was saying the word yes. Satan.
Right, and like,
You
dude, the last.
I remember my buddy and I, when we learned about all this backmasking stuff, we were like, all right, we'll just try to do this ourselves. And we were like, okay, just say, let's kill all the Muslims and Christians, and then see what it sounds like backwards.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll put it into a Jewish prayer. So then my friend's going, Baruch atah Adonai Haluhi, and then we put it into like a thing, and we send it to my friend, and we were like, can you play this backwards? Just see if this is like a Jewish, like if you have a bar mitzvah, you have to say this.
Yeah.
And then it goes, kill all the Muslims and Christians. He's like,
That's
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Oh man.
The last like backmasking, I went down a backmasking rabbit hole like several months ago, like maybe a year ago, and it was some guy like breaking it down in a YouTube video how like all of Nirvana, Kurt Cobain, all those guys had sold their souls to the devil in order to become famous.
Right.
And Kurt Cobain is actually a transgender man. So he was born a woman and then became transgender. I'm telling you, this is the theory. And
No,
he's
it's
actually,
if you play
all
Kurt
the-
Cobain
all the-
backwards.
Yeah, all the backmasking of Nirvana songs is him confessing that he's actually a woman and that they sold their souls to the devil for.
Wow.
And got fucked by David Geffen, which is that one's probably
Dave
true.
Grohl. Yeah.
That one's yeah.
By the way, what do you guys think of the whole Big Mike conspiracy theory? Do you know who Big Mike is? That's supposedly Michelle Obama. That she's a dude. That's what.
Oh,
what's her
yeah,
name?
that's- yeah,
Joan
that
Rivers
old-
got killed for saying that. So I better.
Joan
I'm not saying it.
Rivers
I'm
got
just
killed.
saying that I've read this.
Yeah.
But they have pictures of her from grade school. That's clearly a girl. There's not some transition.
I mean, who
Listen, the
fucking
difference
knows?
between lizard woman and lizard man is very.
That's
It
true,
doesn't
they're
matter to
very-
me.
If whether or not Obama is married to a dude named Mike, that would still be the least gay thing about him. Like he's
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, have
I'm
you
sorry.
seen him try
No,
to play basketball?
Smoking cigarettes would be the least. That was cool. I was like, fuck yeah, dude. Good for you. Fuck it. Like, I was happy to see a smoker get into the office, and then he quit like a bitch.
Yeah,
He was
because
like,
she
I
threatened
wanna
him,
be
and
good
he's like,
exam- I want to be
okay.
an example for the kids. It's like, stop fucking him. That'll be a good example. Like, that'll be good.
I've never heard anything that he's a child fucker or anything.
Oh yeah, sure. He's had some dubious cheese pizza emails, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, there's that. Yeah.
The
Hey,
lizards
but this
don't
is-
need adrenochrome. Only the
the hybrids.
human-
the hominid hybrids.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
the
because-
Anunnaki hybrids. They still need
Okay.
regular injections. But if you're a lizard, you don't fucking.
Why don't they just get a patch or some lozenges? You know, really.
Well, somebody
Yeah,
said that you can
considering the
buy
technology they're about to inject in us, I don't understand why they're still doing these barbaric things.
I heard though that that basically they are coming up with like a synthetic version of adrenochrome, and that's what actually got broken out of the Wuhan biochemical lab that started the virus. It's like
Right.
synthetic adrenochrome.
Oh, good God.
And then
so
they
they, like-
assassinated the two doctors that tried to warn everybody about it.
They're always assassinating.
What am I getting
doctors.
too?
No, I'm just like,
No,
it's,
no.
it's for my own worldview. I'm just like, good God, I can't even maintain my own prejudices right now.
No, but I'm not. Okay, here's the thing.
He's trying to.
I'm
But no,
trying
no,
to
but-
maintain a system of hatred here.
He's trying to deny the virus,
Okay,
and
but-
he just can't have too much information in
but
there to
this goes
muddy
back
up
to that,
the waters.
That
Why
goes,
do
this
that?
goes back to that Marxist bullshit propaganda, where if you say that this virus came from China, then you're a bigot racist. No, he's not criticizing. People aren't criticizing Chinese or Asian people. The criticism is at this as squarely at the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. It's not anything to do with race. It's this political party that's trying to take over that whole part of the world.
Yeah.
It's communism that we're trying to criticize.
Well, viruses don't exist, but we don't need to get into that.
Well, they kind of don't.
We really don't. It's not. It's passe at this point.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail.
That's okay.
No, it's fine. You know.
No, listen. They're endogenous exosomes to the bat kingdom. They can't harm us at all in any way. That shit is all fucking. That's why now that's about adrenochrome supposedly. So what about this
I
dude
just
who's
made
getting?
that up. That's
you made that up.
Yeah. There's nobody said that.
God damn it! How dare you?
You're so.
was
You
trying
are
to-
so
How
ready
dare
to
you.
buy into more shit, man.
I know. I'm like, I can't even
That's
fit
gotta
this
hurt.
in my model.
Good job, Jeff. Thank you for that. That's.
Yeah, you broke my brain for a second.
You need to. You made me realize how much you need to push bullshit conspiracy theories just to keep people on the level. That's
I mean,
that's a good
I
method.
think it hopefully sort of, because where I'm coming from is that I went that first month of the shutdown. I mean, I went to a dark place. I was like all just flipping out, paranoid, going into depression and all that. And then I kind of made it through that and survived. And then I realized, oh my God, if I can't, I have to be able to laugh about the whole thing and kind of let it go. And you know what I mean? Like, that helps me stay sane, is to every now and then just say some bullshit, you know? And I'm not I'm
yeah.
not trying to delegitimize that there isn't real shit going on, though.
I like.
No, and who knows what the
I think
fuck
you
the
should
truth is.
try to. I think you should randomly, for no reason, say shit to delegitimize other shit. Like, fine. Like that. I don't think there's really a problem with that.
But, you know, the interesting thing, though, I was thinking about this, is that, so we have all the really wild, crazy conspiracies that are just really fucked up, which they might be true. But then right alongside of them, you have the just kind of less sexy, if you will, kind of
Right.
normal shit that's actually coming out on the new, like some of these indictments that are happening, like the whole John Brennan thing and FISA-gate.
Yeah, explain this to me a little bit.
So FISA-gate is basically that a group of people, Hillary was involved in it. They through a company called Fusion GPS, and I'm a little sketchy on the specific details, but Fusion GPS, they tasked them with creating an entire narrative around Trump to get him completely delegitimized before the elections. So Fusion GPS hired Michael Steele. Michael Steele is this MI6 guy from Britain that created what's called the Steele dossier.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is fabricated, something that he made up using like bits and pieces of stuff to create the Russian collusion story that doesn't actually have a shred of real evidence.
So
and they were caught.
So hold on, because this is what I was saying about like you just making up bullshit conspiracy theories. Just say them like calmly as if because what they're doing that, like, you know, whatever the elites, and I like. If you think about it, like there are naturally occurring, very plain-looking mushrooms that if you eat them, they will get you very high. They will make you laugh. They will help you bond with people.
Yeah.
You'll have a great time. And then there are mushrooms that look almost indistinguishable from that will fucking kill you.
It'll just kill you. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is like the mushroom that will kill you. It doesn't feel bad about that. It doesn't feel bad that it's tricking you into by looking like. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think we should feel bad about just making up weird shit. Like, because at some point, the people that give a shit anyway, they'll be like, I like. It's actually like I think it's like building our mental immune system as a culture.
I hope that's what all this does. I hope all the effect of media manipulation is to get people to disconnect and distrust mass communication. But it's interesting to me that, like, when you talk about Pizzagate, that shit didn't work. This shit didn't work.
Yeah,
so how effective are these conspiracies really if all these powerful people can't even convince the American public to hate the president?
Well, it's because
that's pretty easy.
They can.
That's pretty easy.
They can. They all do.
He's doing
I
it
suppose
himself.
if that was the only objective,
Yeah.
but they couldn't get him out. They couldn't convince.
But
Congress.
you're assuming that's what they want is to get him out.
Oh,
maybe they
that
just want to
brings
have fanfare about trying to get him out.
So you think they intended the whole impeachment as a ceremony, and they knew it would fail, but the whole ritual
that way.
was
When he does something fucked up, you know, in the next 4 years that he's definitely going to get, then they'll go, look, we tried to get him out. You saw how hard we were trying.
that's just pathetic.
The blood's not
compared
on
to-
our hands.
Listen, JFK, they just go, here's your head on the floor. Like, it's just gotten pathetic now. They can't even kill the guy?
Maybe you're assuming
I'm
they
having
want
less
to.
faith in the New World Order if they can't even fucking kill a
Well, that's
a
the
leader
argument
anymore.
that he's controlled opposition is actually just part of the New World Order because.
Or he's like a useful idiot.
Yeah, well,
he's a Zionist shill.
Well, no, but check this out. So Jimmy Dore brought this up.
Yeah.
So like he goes, okay, you got Nancy Pelosi who is like, Trump bad man, you know, daily just hate crusade publicly on, and yet every like little military budget thing or proposal or stimulus pack, she has signed off on everything that he's asked for. So what the fuck is that?
No, because they
If she hates him so much.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
that's the thing
I
is
am
like
sick of Nancy fucking Pelosi.
if you find one politician like even
I can't even do it.
Like who's the most like
You have to say
you
with
know,
a Z, Dor.
like
Nancy Pelosi again. Yeah, it's Pelosi. Anyway,
who's
sorry,
like
Corey.
the most radical? I really think that this is the reason, like that, you know, or it's a plausible reason why like Alex Jones got so much hate, you know, 5 years ago or whatever, is that his back catalog, like his, you know, his resume or whatever, is him like, you know, detailing the militarization of the police and how the war on terror is like spreading and it's kind of uncontainable and how everybody is serving the military industrial complex. So like that's makes perfect sense to me. You know what I mean? It's like name one politician that is genuinely criticizing the military industrial complex, like genuinely
Ron Paul.
Ron Paul. Yeah, I was just going to
Paul.
say Ron Paul did.
And that's
And
the
that's
thing.
it. And
And
maybe
that's one fucking person.
Although
and then,
Tulsi's interesting. Tulsi's
Tulsi, yeah, I agree with that. You're right. But that's the thing is, dude.
And
like,
strangely enough, Trump.
Dude,
I mean, Trump.
no, because he
I'm not
talked
saying
about
he's an outward critic of the military-industrial complex, but he's sort of isolationist.
He's done
kind
better
of
than
isolationist.
he's done better than a lot of people, and
Yeah.
at least rhetorically, like he was like talking to people, and
But
he said on the campaign trail, like George W. Bush lied you into these wars, which is a fucking insane thing for a person to say, and then get elected into the press. So I agree with that, but
he still sucks the Fed's dick, even though he
Right.
tried. He early on tried to criticize the Fed, and then I don't know what happened. I mean, he picked his battles, and that's where you just get, like he clearly
Actually,
can't fight all of them.
Where are we on? I haven't read about this lately, but there was this interesting thing that happened back in April where, and the media kind of, like, oh, never mind, let's move on. So basically, he was doing a press conference, and he said, so we have a great deal for the future as far as the Fed and the debt and all the missing money and everything. We've basically turned over sorry, my brain is mush now. Basically, we've put the Federal Reserve under the rulership of the U.S. Department of the Treasury, and Steve Mnuchin is like now essentially the head of the Federal Reserve. And so, in other words, the Federal Reserve is now no longer a private central bank.
Really?
It's under the U.S. government. And people were saying that, oh my God, that move will change the whole game because he'll be able to put us back on gold and precious mineral standard and get rid of the fiat currency. The theory back then was that he's using this whole thing, and the people that are part of that, behind the scenes, using this whole thing as a financial reset to clean out all the dirty money and the illegitimate debt and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And then, I don't know if you remember this, then the next month, again, it was covered for 1 minute, and then they swept it. All of a sudden, we had $6 trillion back in the Treasury, and they traced that 3 of those came from what's the guy's Faoud, the Saudi prince. Basically said, "Oh yeah, that's right. We owe you $3 trillion, so it's coming back to you." And now all of a sudden, and that's where a lot of that stimulus money came from. And I'm not making
That's
that
great.
up.
That's great.
I can't tell.
I was wondering where that money came from. I didn't realize I was spending Saudi money
It
on
came from
Amazon.
a Nigerian prince, the one,
Yeah.
the one Nigerian prince that made good on that deal.
Yep.
It was
He says, you need to go to Western Union.
yeah.
Buy your groceries online. Unsafe to go to the grocery store during a pandemic.
Use Cash App. And
Trump finally went in and got several Target gift cards. He went through the deal, and that's how we got $3 trillion. Fixed the economy.
Great. Great.
Who knows? Who would have guessed that it was that close? Like we, just one of us had to answer that email. and
Here is
Trump was the man
$3
for the job.
trillion. You must now all wear masks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like interesting things like that will kind of pop up from time to time.
Well, I've not looked into that, but I would be shocked if it is true that the Treasury usurped the Federal Reserve, because the Federal Reserve, we still are spending Federal Reserve notes, which are all debt to the.
That's a good point.
to
Yeah,
the Federal
yeah.
Reserve. It may be he may have done something,
they
but
do
we're
have-
That's where all the
we're still
quarters went.
fundamentally
Remember
in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know they got a fucking penny shortage, right? They go, guys.
Well,
can
they
you
ran out of
please,
copper because people
please?"
kept on ripping the copper wiring out of houses and shit.
Yeah.
So they had to melt down the pennies, and so now, we don't have.
Well, what are you
pennies.
gonna do? Yeah.
Please use credit cards. All this money that we print that is not worth anything, that we just print arbitrarily, we decided we shouldn't print it anymore. So please use your
Yeah.
credit cards.
We're gonna have to tighten our belts as far as spending dimes and
We're having a coin shortage. We can no longer print George Washington's face on paper.
Well, he
I
was a
like,
racist,
there's
so
someone-
we gotta
like
get
I
rid
saw
of it.
that sign. I was like, good. The fact that you give me back metal change upsets me a great deal. Like, get fucked. I don't have like what do you think I'm? You're just giving me like hobo bait.
So, but
It's-
the conspiracy take on all that is it is a intermediate to switching us to a digital currency. They're trying to say stop
Oh.
using paper money. It can contain the virus. get used to digital currency. We're going to switch you very soon.
But this is the thing with all conspiracy theories is that it's like this is where like the Illuminati shit is, great in a way. Is like it is all true. Like you could look at it on a spectrum of like how many people in power, how many of our politicians are involved in child sex trafficking. They are on that spectrum. It's not zero. It's not none of them. It's for sure not none of them.
But this is what you don't understand is at the Bohemian Grove, on the sidelines is Ron Paul going, how is this going to reduce the debt?
Like, shut up,
They
Ron.
only invited him.
Don't make us take out the
one
stroke
time,
gun.
Ron, just come fuck this Polynesian boy. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Talking politics.
Well, but he's a prude, and he won't.
Well, I don't think the Illuminati exists at all anyway. I mean, do you guys really think there's such a thing as the Illuminati, Alan?
I think there are probably several, but that's my point. That's what I'm getting at is like...
You're missing the... you have to... I'm in the...
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Remember when Jim Carrey came on...
and taught us all how to eat pussy.
Yeah, but with the all-seeing eye triangle and all
God.
that.
No, he was talking about how to stimulate the anus.
Now, what I heard about that is that they dubbed in all that laughter. That the crowd was Jimmy Kimmel's audience was not laughing at any of that, and they had.
In fact, you can
here's
still
a conspiracy theory for you. Jim Carrey's not funny.
Oh man.
He went on Jimmy Kimmel, didn't get a laugh.
I kind of feel
believe that shit.
With Jimmy Kimmel there, the laugh riot that is Jimmy Kimmel.
I've seen him not get laughs before though on other shows, so it must be. No,
those were psyops.
Those are.
But the reason that shit was interesting is he did seem to kind of go down a rabbit hole of some in some way. Like he did seem to be.
No, but then he came out and was like.
And started painting Donald Trump licking Satan's asshole.
Yeah,
and he's selling his paintings on Letterman or whatever.
And on Bill Maher promoting socialism and shit.
Yeah, it was weird. He was like, "We need to disband the Illuminati," and then a month later, he was like, "Donald Trump's evil." So maybe there's something to it.
Who knows? But that's what I'm saying is like all these conspiracy theories are in all likelihood true in like I said on some spectrum. It's like is.
Well,
is Donald like they try to like white hat Donald Trump like they always are trying to like
a friend of mine
act
brought
like
up
he's doing great shit, but I don't know.
Yeah, a friend of mine brought up an interesting point. This goes into the whole QAnon movement and all that. That basically there's like a military operation that put Trump as kind of not just the spearhead of the movement, but also as kind of a big distraction, because he's great at that. He goes on every day, hey, I hate big fat lesbians, or whatever he says. And then everybody's...
sounds hilarious when you say it.
Yeah, but he's... but everybody's like, oh, what did he say, you piece of shit? And while they're looking over here at him being an asshole, other people are doing missions and shit like that to bring down the New World Order.
Sure.
But the thing is, a friend of mine pointed out that, that just also sounds like just hero politics. It's like you get a bunch of people to be like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, everything's going to be fine because our hero and his group are going to save the world. And what that really does is it just placates those patriots that would otherwise rise up and try to revolt against the revolution.
I don't know what politics is other than a distraction. The whole game is distracting. It's all look at this, look at this, look at this,
so that you don't know that
look at this, look at this. Why would anyone look at? I mean, the whole idea is that people in power are going to do horribly immoral things as long as we don't catch them doing it.
Right.
And what as long as we can be distracted, then we're powerless against it.
It's like I was saying about watching shit that was made in the early 90s where they're like saying the same shit about Buchanan that they're saying about Trump. It's like probably nothing interesting is going to happen. Which is really a fate worse than hell, is just nothing happens to any of us and we just live boring lives and die. But and that I think that's probably got more to do with it. Is like people are like, no, not me. I am living in an interesting time. It's like, no, nobody is, and none of
Right.
this is interesting, and you're all boring, and your death will be the most exciting and meaningful thing about you. But like, I'm sure in the future, in whatever 10 or 15 years, 20, depending on whether or not Trump gets reelected, like there are going to be people like when I listen to people now in 2020 that either defend and like look up to and idolize Ronald Reagan, or when I listen to people that think that Ronald Reagan wasn't an evil motherfucker, which he was. Either one of those, I'm like, this is boring. I don't know why we're talking about Ronald Reagan.
Right.
This is fucking crazy. It's like, well, yeah, was he a terrible person? Yeah, but if we're just like throwing like back several, whatever to some random point in time and looking at a leader and talking shit about, like, why are we not talking? You could talk about Andrew Jackson and or Franklin Roosevelt,
or
a number of shitty
Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter.
He
was
did
a
all these
fucking,
great things, but his aides and Secret Service people said, yeah, he was a dick in person.
and he started the whole fucking. He started all this bullshit in the Middle East. Jimmy Carter's a fucking nightmare.
He allowed himself to be persuaded by Brzezinski. Zbigniew Brzezinski was his national security advisor, and like they interviewed all these other people that were in the State Department, and they were saying that. They're like, God, Brzezinski's just this narcissistic, like, holier-than-thou, thinks he knows everything, but he was able to kind of muscle Carter into... Basically, the theory is that what they were saying is that around 1976-77, Brzezinski was saying, okay, what's happening right now is that the Russians are about to break out of our encirclement... because we had military bases and strength around them.
Like in Ukraine.
And they're going to go through Afghanistan right down into the Mediterranean, and then they have access to North Africa, and then by proxy over to Brazil. And like, we must stop Russia, so the best thing that we can do is have proxy wars set up. So they basically, Brzezinski created the Mujahideen, by going into like he knew people in Saudi Arabia that were I'm forgetting what they're called, like, so they basically are a group of freedom fighters, and he goes, hey, this is a holy war, we have to stop the second great Satan Russia from there's a video of Brzezinski sitting in like a Taliban camp surrounded by like these Taliban guys in Afghanistan, and he's saying, you people are doing God's work.
Right.
And so in this view, the purpose of all these proxy wars is to prevent Russia from having strategical...
from growing, from the Soviet communism.
Well, and having a resource, because they're like a hostile threat, and so... the more productive resource they have, the more they'll be able to build a military force, and the more there'll be like a physical threat to the United States. Like there's a reasonable there's a reasonable argument, I guess, to be like.
But here's the other other writers that are critical of Brzezinski pointed out that, and you can see this in some of his other books, is that so Brzezinski was in Poland, exiled from there during the height of the Cold War. Under Stalin and then Khrushchev, that guy had such a hard-on against Russia that it didn't matter. Russia could convert to capitalistic free market Christianity, whatever, and he would still
Church
say
of Ayn Rand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Brzezinski would still be like, "Fuck Russia, we still need to nuke them," and so yeah, it was. You might say he was blinded by that intent. And would do anything to justify it. So basically, Carter was like, "Oh, okay, cool," and then that was the beginning of.
It's like these, it's the same conflicts that like were the reason we trained people like Osama bin Laden, who
the CIA basically trained him.
They did. Like it's.
There's an interesting book that
they
you
trained him with really tiny twin towers. They had these little Play-Doh twin towers.
Let's see if
they said Osama.
Paper airplane.
Yeah. He sat there with like they put the planes on tracks and
We've also
sit there with the controller.
and we've also planted little firecrackers inside the fake twin towers, so that when the paper airplane it'll crumble.
Because listen,
Now,
even-
Osama, when it falls over, you got to get the gold out of the bottom of the Play-Doh tower here, right here. That's Federal Reserve gold.
Listen,
Man, we need to get on the phone with Larry Silverstein also for Building 7 because he has a lot of cash tied into that. So, you know.
jet fuel will not melt model glue. You have to understand that.
Now, when your paper airplane hits the second tower, a shockwave will move over
And knock down the
over the
Pentagon.
towers, yeah, all the way to the Pentagon. Yeah,
We've also set up a
There's a fault
hologram.
line from Manhattan to
We've also set up a 2 holograms of fake paper airplanes that they're going to show on all the news
yeah.
channels because they weren't really planes. They were holograms. Yeah.
Perfect. All right.
But there's an interesting book that you guys should check into. George Freeman.
it's called Cruise Missile Airplane. Who gives a fuck?
It's called the Koran. I like it.
and you
Take a
got
look at it.
Yeah, it's on Kindle. No, it's called America's Secret War. George Freeman is the author. Wrote it back in 04.
Yeah.
And he explains how Brzezinski and Carter kind of set the tone for what would happen after that. But then on the other side, he goes into how Osama's plan is he was setting himself up to be the leader of the new caliphate. And caliphate is basically Shiite Muslim rule from sea to shining sea, you know, like global, like it was back in the Ottoman Empire. And so
that's all everybody's trying to do is just reestablish their empire.
But what
Britannia
Freeman points
or
out
Ottoman or
though
whatever.
is that the mistake of getting basically from his point of view is that Bush and Wolfowitz and Cheney and Rumsfeld, the project for the new American century is what they're called.
Yeah.
They got suckered. They played right into bin Laden's hands because the way he was going to get caliphate was by you get the enemy to come here to the Middle East.
He said that, and he was like, "You'll fucking destroy."
If
And
we
by
had
the way,
ignored them,
by the way, we taught him that. Like the U.S. taught him that with Russia. We were like, "Here's the," because America is great, and like because it's so vast and multicultural, like it is innovative. And like the great innovation of the United States
Was
like
funding
during the
the
Cold War.
Taliban
No, they were
and
like,
then going to destroy the Taliban.
No, they were like, this is how you fight the Russians. You draw them into a war, a terrorist war that they cannot win, and it will drain their fucking economy, and they will collapse.
And they did.
That's how that worked. That worked. That's how that's a big part of why we won the Cold War. And then Osama, a little slip of the tongue. Osama bin Laden was like, all right, but also
Saddam Hussein Obama.
Yes,
they were cousins, but they're all part of the Illuminati bloodline.
Yeah.
So Saddam is related to Osama bin Laden, and that's George Bush's cousin, and they all fuck each other. So they're it's all incest, basically.
We're all one.
Yeah,
We're all reptiles.
Like Osama bin Laden
We're
was
all
like,
wontons.
What's the deal with? Is that a new meme that the CIA has invented to distract
The
us?
wontons?
I'm seeing all the wonton.
Yeah,
memes
that's a
lately.
new meme. Who knows? No, dude. All of the kids are high on fucking Dexedrine. Like they're like they're just doing random shitty drugs because the federal government has made all the decent drugs illegal.
They put me on that for one day so I could pass the 10th grade, and then I was
And
able
now
to
you're a
get on.
Mossad agent.
That's not directly. I'm kind of subcontractor for them. You know, that's how they do it. So all these subcontracting companies, one is to build the tip of the missile. The other is a guidance. They don't know each other exists,
Right? Yeah.
but they're all part of the.
Dude,
grand-
This is how the Illuminati pyramid functions, though.
Yeah, all the lowers. It's like the mafia.
One-
the
one
capo,
hand
you
washes
got
the other, yeah.
The boss, the underboss, the capo, the consigliere, and then the soldiers, and then the associates.
Sure.
Yeah, and then it's the Cosa Nostra. You've got the Gambinos, the Bonanos, the Lucchese's. I used to know all 5 of the families because they would run drugs and stuff into my hometown.
Yeah.
The opioid epidemic in my hometown was because of the Chicago branch of the
They had
Illuminati.
Chicago. Weirdly, Ohio was like a weird mob center.
What was that? It's a suburb of Cleveland. I forget the name of it.
Fuck, I do know this. My brain, because I've been there.
Richard Pryor did a whole bit on it. He worked for a mob-owned strip club.
Yeah,
in that town.
Yeah, the whole thing is like I mean, I don't know how it is now, but like, yeah, that was like, dude, that was where like Kroger is from, and that was where Hoffa like started all that shit. All the Teamster shit was in Akron.
No, not
I'm
Akron.
I'm gonna say names until I get it.
Yeah, just keep listing off.
Hamilton. I don't remember. No, I had a
Cat
buddy,
on a hot tin roof.
yeah, Tennessee Williams, Ohio. You know that. I had a buddy that was from Ohio and
Youngstown,
Youngstown,
Ohio.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
a big mob-controlled part of Ohio. It's
I had
really weird.
a buddy of mine was from Ohio. Like a bunch of my family's from Ohio too. But his dad used to have lunch like every day with Machine Gun Kelly.
Oh man,
Not the rapper, the actual.
yeah, the real
Machine.
Tommy gun wielding.
Yeah.
By the way, they built the A-10 Warthog tank buster aircraft modeled off of the Tommy gun. It's like a circular firing.
Yeah,
like
the Tommy gun was.
And have you heard that shit fire? It's really amazing. It fires like 1,000 rounds a second. Like in movies, they make a machine gun or like that. A real machine gun like that is actually. It's like a really weird buzz sound, yeah. And then the whole hillside just lights up.
What's crazy is you used to be able, like back in the day, you could buy a Tommy gun like out of a Sears catalog.
Oh, those were the days.
Yeah, dude, that was when you could have fun. It's now that these goddamn lizard pedophiles have.
I joke with my friend Keith that I don't want to do anything lethal toward anybody, but I want to do stuff that'll just fuck them up mentally forever. So, like, the running joke is that I want to design a very, very high-capacity, high-powered super soaker, fill it with my urine, and, well, now it started with just blasting with piss, but so now basically it's gone into, so I'm over, like, a 6-month period, I'm going to piss into jars and leave them out in the sun. And also jizz and puke and
sure, whatever, yeah.
And just
fluids.
let it all ferment into this, liquefied, just nasty, just the most horrible thing, and then put that into that super soaker, get up on a roof, and then just blast,
You mix that much piss, cum, and vomit into a thing, you're gonna make the
cure
coronavirus.
coronavirus.
That's how
you're gonna make what?
Both.
Weirdly enough, that would probably cure some disease.
It'll cure aging. That's
so it's a win-win. I get to get my aggression out.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. Yeah, we'll be immortal.
Yeah, we'll all be immortal.
Spray me with your shit cum jizz that you've been sun aging.
Yeah, it's the universal solvent or whatever they call that.
You thought Fabuloso was great. Wait till you have shit, piss, cum shit.
And it might cure something, but that person's going to be like, man, fucking goddamn it. They're going to have that memory of just being kind of defiled that way at that low level,
Yeah, that's a really weird way to fuck with everyone's head. This is very like middle school type of.
Yeah, I think part of me is stuck in middle. I've been doing this therapy that they call parts work, and you access. The theory is that inside of you is every age, smaller child or whatever, and you open up a dialogue with that child. To see how they feel about that memory or whatever. And so there's part of me, there's the 7th, 8th grade revenge. I'm going to blast these fuckers with a super soaker.
Yeah. Yeah, you just needed to TP a house in 8th grade otherwise.
And I didn't. I never got to TP anything. And so that's...
Yeah. So now you fantasize
it's that unrequited
creating
desire.
toxic waste and
yeah, exactly.
out of your own biological material. And then
I just need anger management is what it is. It's... boy, that goes into a whole different thing. People pleasing, the whole nice guy syndrome, which is also, my friend Roger theorizes that men started becoming emasculated, and it was the CCP, the communist government, infiltrating and destroying masculinity in this country so they could come in just sweep us out. Because we wouldn't have any fight left in us.
They said as soon as all the men are willing to put on masks, we'll be ready.
Because I just want to criticize that idea quickly is to I love the person with the mind that's like we will remove fighting We will remove the fighting impulse from people by removing masculinity. Because women have never been known to fight. You know how calm and peaceful.
They're the ones who are going to save us when
how nice they are.
When the troops from the invading country come over the border, it's going to be the women that are going to be throwing the Molotov cocktails.
It would be like, hey, go complain at them for a minute. Like, let's give them a piece of your mind.
If you want to win an argument with the Americans, argue with the women.
Yeah,
That's what you're saying.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a mistake.
Well, and it's more of an emotional base because we can't use logic because logic is a construct of the patriarchy.
Well,
language itself.
Language itself. This
Science,
is
supposedly.
phallogocentrism. Yeah, you're just the fact that we're speaking a language right now is
This goes
oppressing
back to
women.
There was a
Benjamin.
vaginal language at one point, but I don't know what happened to it.
No,
Nobody does.
I was like complaining at Vic for talking so much, and then I realized he was just trying to keep women in their place, and I was like, "Nah, good job."
Who?
Vic G.
Oh, man, every time I see that guy, I feel violated. Like so we were at that backyard mic. And I'm sitting on a lawn chair, and I'm watching whoever's up there. And then all of a sudden, I see like a bit of a shadow behind
Just
me.
a cloud of
A cloud behind me. And then all of a sudden, I feel lips on the top. He kisses the top of my head and then puts his arms around me. And I see I'm like, oh, of course, Vic G.
yeah.
And I'm like, and I go, yeah, he's back on the meth. I mean, have you seen him? Like, this is a weird phenomenon. Once in a blue moon, he'll get clean for like a month or two. He'll come to an open mic and just destroy. Like, he's like a pro-level comic. He's got, like, smooth, tightly written jokes, great delivery, great timing, just a monster. But then he goes back on the sauce, the meth sauce. Then he's like, fucking my fucking daughter. I can't do right by her. I'm trying to pay. And then this fucker comes, I'm trying to hitch a ride over on Colfax and York. And then I end up in a basement and some bitch is like trying to smash me in the face with a bottle. And like, he just.
Yeah, that was it. Straight from the Vic G
and then he's
flight
being
like
lit 3 times. And then he's like, hey, by the way, guys, Jeff Koehn, he was supposed to like babysit my comic book. Did you know that he used to work as a comic book colorist? And I'm just like, yeah, you're being lit off the stage and nobody wants to hear about my former career.
Yeah.
I love the guy, though. What would we be without him?
What would Denver comedy be?
The whole yin-yang thing, I think he's the yin to the Emily's yang. I mean, they're not really
I
a
think
thing
it's
anymore.
vice versa, but yeah, I agree with you.
Okay, fair enough, yeah.
Emily who?
They're this
Yeah,
extreme.
he's the yang, but
Emily who? Let's get names on this show.
I don't know.
he's talking about the hyper-feminist.
No,
Like
I'm
the-
just kidding.
Well,
I know
not
what
even
you're talking about.
hyper-feminist, just toxic. Like, they would actually argue and assail, like Joe Kimbrell, she's like a very strong feminist, and one of the Emilys, so she showed me her DMs, and one of the Emily, I don't know if she wants me saying this on, can we edit this out? I don't want to, like, out her if she wants to put that to bed.
I can say that I'll edit it.
Well, we've got a deal with Spotify where all this will be removed.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, I'm gonna say.
Well, so anyway,
hold
real
on,
quick.
hold on. I'm just gonna real quick. I'm gonna use a racial slur, and then because we have Target doing ads for us. So,
so that'll get you shadow ban. Okay.
yeah, but so if as long as I say a racial slur, they'll cut the next minute or two. So kike.
Okay, cool.
Just real quick.
Yeah.
But we all have to say one.
So somebody got in a
pick your
fight with
favorite.
another person, and they just trashed that other person, even though they're on the same side. That's what I was referring to. So they're on that side, and then Vic G is on the opposite side, is the point I was making.
The idea that Vic G is like on a side of a thing of an argument.
Yeah, that's a good
He's
point. He's more
against
chaos.
you, whoever
He's like
you are. Yeah.
he's like a chaos agent, basically,
yeah.
more than anything.
Of course. Yeah.
But
But no, I would love to trap those two people in a room together and
they
see
might
what
get
happens.
along, like what you were saying on the way over here. The whole remember how you were saying that the dominance thing
Oh, okay. This is what I was talking about. And maybe you can explain this to me, Corey, because what I don't understand is young women who I've met who they hate men, generally hate their father, but hate men, hyper feminist, hate men, but their sex fantasy is to be submissive to a hyper dominant man who controls their whole life, controls their sexuality, controls their diet, money, everything. So they hate dad, they hate the man, but the only thing that turns them on is a man who controls everything.
The reason they hate dad is dad didn't give them like the structure that they honestly like not because I'm not even honestly mocking these women. It's really like children kind of they look for structure and like in order to build reality. In order to build a reality that they can depend upon and that they can act confidently within the confines of. And if your dad doesn't give you that, or if he gives you the opposite of that, then obviously like you hate that motherfucker. And then when somebody comes around that can be what do they call surrogate for that
So you wish your father had been the right type of dominance. So now you're seeking dominance.
Yeah, so
it's like you're replaying. You're trying to win that battle. Like I went through a similar thing in therapy where, I was like, why do I keep ending up with the same type of, kind of dominant passive aggressive women? And what we uncovered is that, because you haven't done the work. The conflict that I had with my adoptive mother growing up, she was like that. Yeah. So it's like this desire to overcome that through whoever the new person is. But it never.
So now
worked.
you're saying. So what you're saying is these women want this dom to be their sexual father, and then they want to reenact this childhood drama and overcome.
Yeah, but have it be within their control or whatever, dude. When I go to therapy, and like after like probably like a year of therapy, when I was like getting into like
manga,
when it was like I was getting into manga and fucking my waifu pillow, but no, like after a while of like kind of like focusing on like making myself mentally healthy, I definitely like stopped accepting whatever female relationships that I had.
Right.
So probably like these women need like don't need, but they like would probably benefit from some kind of like some kind of therapy.
That or I think another thing that's very therapeutic is that some of the women I know that have that, they just 100% own it. Like, yeah, this is my way of living
sure,
this
but
out.
That's a healthy way. That's the
it's like a channel for it, basically.
Like with like psychology, it's like what is healthy and what is unhealthy. It's like like any psychologist that I've talked to that's like worth their salt or whatever, like they're like, if you ask them like what is like how do you define addiction, they would be like, is it like bumming you out? Like, are you drinking to the point that it bums you out? And if
I don't call my sex addiction an addiction anymore. Now I'm fine. I'm cured.
Yeah.
I just fuck whenever.
Yeah.
And it's not. But see, that's another thing with me. The church really drilled into us that any kind of sex outside of marriage, even a thought, is just of the devil and shame on you. And it's just. And by the way, shame is like probably the biggest fuel for an addiction that exists. It's part of the cycle, if there is an addiction. But once I had a counselor that, oddly, also a Christian, but very, sex positive and everything positive. And he's like, well, how about this? Have you ever thought to just allow it? Like, that God's not going to kill you or shame you or destroy you or send you to hell, which doesn't exist. That's a different story. The Illuminati concocted hell to have something for us to...
Right. I mean, that's
But no, there's something to that. Once I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stop resisting this, and it's funny because like the intensity of the act out, whatever that is. Let's say I'm hooking up with a woman.
Yeah.
Let's just say.
Let's say.
Well, when I first
Let's say I'm hooking up with a what are they called?
Yeah.
I didn't want. I was trying not to say hooker, so I went to woman.
Okay.
Because I don't want
right.
people to think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I pay for it, which actually I don't.
Let's try. Let's say I'm fucking a melon, and my
blow up.
psychiatrist
No.
walks in. He goes, "Is that a cantaloupe or is that your mother?"
That's.
Oh, is that a
I've
kid?
made
They're
it
in
look
season.
like all my mothers. No, but so the or both, I should say. So it's like when I first kind of opened that door, because I bought into it. I went abstinent for 16 years from like 1990 till 06, but minus like in the mid 90s twice I ate pussy for like an insane amount of time on both. It was great. It was like a whole thing, but because I got off on their reaction. You know,
Yeah.
Because people pleaser, you know, it's like, oh my God, I made
Yeah,
that woman
yeah.
crawl on the ceiling and tell me that I was God and all this. Kind
Right.
of
It's
stuff.
almost like mom is proud of me. It's,
Yeah. Like,
very
in fact, I
close.
called my mom.
Her
I'm like,
head turned
Mom,
backwards. She walked down the staircase. This weird piano
Mom, I'm going to
music was
put
playing.
Kate on the phone with you. Tell her what you told me. Oh, your son is a great lover. Yeah.
You hear that, you bitch, you old bitch?
Yeah. How dare you?
Yeah.
So 16 years. When I first discovered, I'm like, oh my God, there's a whole casual encounters section on Craigslist. So I put an ad out, and it worked, you know. But I remember the first several times.
Seeking
I
revenge
hooked-
on my mother.
See,
Oh,
revenge
that's
of
going to be the new ad. I'm going to try that. I
Yeah,
bet that'll-
dude, put it up. People will be. I don't know if I would call them people, but
I was telling
beings will be
somebody-
happy to
yeah.
fulfill that. Yeah.
But I was telling a friend of mine that I go, you know what I'm what I'm actually considering doing is writing a new ad where it's just for fisting. And then she said to me, she goes, hey, that's a great idea. I bet a lot of people would want to
Don't you have
fist
that joke about it's
Oh, you
just
missed
lunch? It's just lunch.
Yeah. But let me tell this one
All right.
because this was a real conversation and it was her honest reaction. I go, yeah, I'm going to do an ad for fisting. And she goes, well, yeah, I bet there'd be a lot of people that would want to fist you. And I'm like, oh, thanks.
You're like,
But-
listen, I have mother issues, not father issues. What get
Oh
your-
yeah, so the It's Just I tried that new dating app called It's Just Lunch, but I got stood up, so it was just lunch.
Yeah.
But
this
the
joke
pastrami's-
brought to you by our sponsor. It's just fisting.
It's just fisting. But and the end of the joke is
your mom said that to you.
I end up fucking a pastrami sandwich is the main
okay,
part of the
yeah,
joke.
yeah.
What did my mom say?
Your
no,
mom-
this wasn't my mom. This was a female comic in the scene. I
Oh,
was just
okay.
telling her. I go, yeah, I think I'm going to do a fisting ad. She
Yeah,
goes,
I
you should be fisting.
That's another great idea for a dating app. It's just your mom scowling at you.com. Like, that'll
It's
no,
just-
that's the opposite.
It's
It
just
should be-
5 minutes in a Walmart bathroom. That's more appropriate for me.
Yeah.
It's just 5 minutes.
But no, the point that I was trying to make is that when I first started exploring that and having these hookups, it was like a drug effect. I'd be high on my way to
Absolutely.
the meeting.
Yeah.
Well, once that counselor suggested that, just allow it and don't just take all the shame out and there's nothing wrong with it. Just be safe and careful and all that.
And you're going, wait, without the shame, how do I come?
Yeah. I've learned other ways. 9-volt battery up the ass on the prostate. It's like an auto, it happens.
Don't lick them unless you're going to put it up your asshole.
Yeah. Well, you put it in a condom first, so that not for
Is this
protection.
real?
just for-
Is this real?
yeah, it's to make it non-conductive, so it doesn't shock anything other than the prostate. There's a whole thing on.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Why did God create the prostate? Because they're awesome.
Yeah. Who knows?
There's a theory that the
A
female
lot went on the
cervix-
6th day, and we don't have explanations for all of it.
I mean, it could be just a, I don't know. There was a guy that I knew in high school that said, well, what if God is an alien? And I go, okay, elaborate. And he goes, well, billions of more years advanced than we are and able to see past, present, and future because of the looking glass thing and like all this stuff. And I go, yeah, so a God. So it's like, what cracked me up is that he's like a hardcore atheist to the point where I know that there's no way that there could be a God. Not that I don't know if there's a God, and there probably isn't. Like, I mean, I respect atheists and have had some great discussions, but he was as militant about there can't be a God as some Christians are that there absolutely is without any question. And then he goes, but what if God was an alien? I'm like, okay, so you can believe all the attributes,
Right,
but
right.
But you're essentially describing the same thing. I thought that
Well,
was
this
really...
is why now, the religious experience has become the UFO thing. Like, this is young. Like, we have left the realm of angels and cloaked father
Right,
figures and moved
yeah.
on to
And
the
it's a Klingon
DMT
warper.
elves.
Now we have
and
we're like, I smoked this drug and I saw a thing, or
But that's a weird.
whatever.
That's an interesting question. You know how you said earlier that why do millions of people have the radio and the tooth thing?
Yeah.
Why do millions of people who do DMT see the clockwork elves and they describe them the same way?
That's not true. They don't describe them the same way.
Oh, really?
Okay. I never saw any of that. I mean,
Well,
I
yours
don't know.
had ketamine.
Well, but
in
you
it,
don't
so-
have a soul, so how are you gonna?
I saw
how are you
bizarre
gonna communicate
things.
with angels? If
Oh,
you
yeah,
don't
what
have
did
a
No,
you
but
see?
being serious
You're
about
a
this
golem.
DMT thing for a second, anyone I've talked to who's smoked DMT, I ask them what they saw, and it's never the same shit. And as far as the McKenna self-transforming machine elves, I've not heard anybody who saw those.
I'm
besides
listening to Rogan too much. Maybe.
I do. I've listened to a shitload of Terrence McKenna, and I've done a decent amount of mushrooms, sitting alone in the dark in silence, and I've had a couple weird experiences. The experiences I had were not anything really close to what McKenna talked about.
Yeah, I think it's
I could work my brain
deeply
around
personal. Whether or not it can be supernatural too, but I don't know anyone who saw any two people who saw the same thing on DMT.
That makes sense. I mean, I'll listen to different podcasts.
But the UFO thing, a lot of people have done psychedelics and had the experience of being taken on board or something of that nature.
Well, that's what that Styx song, "Come Sail Away." It's about. I thought that they were angels, but to my surprise, they took me in their starship, and this is what they said, or however it goes. But yeah, he's talking about aliens.
Yeah. Have you seen a UFO ever?
Let me think. See, I've seen some weird. There's been some weird phenomena when I was much younger. I saw that like when I was around 3 or 4
saw
years.
this bright blue orb on a golf course, and then suddenly a ball hit me in the head.
Yeah. No, I saw this black dot moving around in the sky, and it made this really creepy, weird, almost like a howling noise. And then I would wake up at night, and that same thing would like actually kind of melt down from the ceiling and make the same noise. And and I've read that can be what's called a screen memory to block some other traumatic memory. You know, when you have an unexplained.
Why is it always that?
Dude,
What?
It's
Screen memory, or what do you mean?
No, why does it always have to be to block some trauma? You'd be like,
Well,
all
it's that's why people have split personalities. It's a dissociation from
Well, no,
because
I think
part of you can't handle the actual full weight of the trauma.
that's like most have been debunked, though, hasn't it? Like
Has it really?
Multiple personality disorder.
It could be.
I
No,
think
that
so.
is a real thing. But here's the interesting thing about it is that in a way it kind of has been debunked because split personalities are more of a neurotic condition than psychotic.
Yeah.
An alter is a way to. It's like a coping mechanism, and you can train yourself to using cognitive behavioral therapy to give it up.
I've
basically.
had people like
Sorry.
like a friend of mine, like a friend of the family, like her stepmom, who was I think like married to her mom. I think it was like a lesbian thing. If I remember right, had multiple personality disorder, and when she described like her like changing personalities, it did not seem like fake at all. She was like, it was fucking crazy. Like her entire like her like posture, her like the muscles in her face would contort in a very specific way depending upon the personality, and she would like start talking in a very different but very specific fashion depending on what like personality she was
Yeah.
so I don't know.
It's hard to say. I mean, it could be. You just reminded me of something though, and I'll try to remember to send you guys a link. So there was a.
I swear to God, Jeff, if it's child porn, I'll be.
No,
fucking
no, I don't.
All right.
You guys just reminded me of this great clip.
No, okay. So there's a like Baptist preacher named Bob Larson that bills himself as like the world's greatest exorcist, and he goes and has these revivals, and he gets people to come up and manifest and he thinks there's a demon behind it. If you have a headache, there's a demon for that, you know.
Yeah.
And so there's these videos of people coming up to the front, and he's like, and he's got this giant, ridiculous gold cross, and he puts it on their head, and then they manifest, and it's clearly just a bad, like, I'm the devil. You know, it's like, it's not even convincing. There's no
It's like
facial.
shitty improv.
It's just bad improv. And oh my God. And he used to have a radio show. My roommate and I, we both worked night jobs. So in the afternoons, we'd like sit around and listen to him on AM radio. And he'd be like, all right, I'm doing the work of the Lord, rebuking the devil out of all the people. And you people aren't giving me any. And they had to bleep, but you're not sending in any fucking money. And he goes, so you know what? You people need to be punished. So if you don't send in, if I don't get $1,000 donation right now, this is what you're going to hear for the next 2 hours. And then he'd put on like old school, like 20s opera music or some shit. And he'd leave it on for 15, and then he'd come back. All right, is anybody calling in? And then it turns out he's just like the biggest scam artist, and the IRS caught him like embezzle. Like he was saying that he was bankrupt, but they show receipts for like Vail Resorts, and like him and his wife are spending like millions on ski trips and all this kind of shit.
Of course.
But what I loved is you talked about crisis actors. He had the first crisis actors. You can't rebuke me. She belongs to me.
Unpaid. They're like interns. Crisis interns.
Yeah.
Crisis interns.
But sign me up. I want to go.
Aspiring crisis actors.
But
Listen,
I want in on that. That's
I'm gonna touch you on the head, and you're gonna pretend that you can walk now, and that's a college credit. That's it. Welcome to the.
All you got to do is like a grindcore. You know, like a.
Yeah.
Is that grindcore? Is
All
that
right,
different?
you got to pretend to be a school shooting victim, and you're going to get college credit for this.
Oh shit.
Now you're a crisis intern.
Yeah.
Is there really?
They have like that. I don't know. It's probably all bullshit, but it's like the same chick, like at Sandy Hook and at.
But it's
like
not.
Aurora
They've
and
done
at Las Vegas.
Yeah,
or whatever.
supposedly George Floyd was at the Boston Marathon.
Oh, okay.
I like to think that there's just some like goofy Forrest Gump type that's at every mass shooting. And you find him like outside of the Twin Towers, like it was crazy.
Welcome to George Floyd's Shrimp Company.
Actually, he's still George Floyd
George
is still.
Floyd was the George Floyd.
That was Bubba Gump.
He was explaining shrimp.
Oh my God! Yeah.
He's actually still alive though.
They could put a knee on your back, a knee on your chest, a knee on your all kinds
On your
of
arm,
knees.
on your head. He's still alive though. He's on Epstein's Island. Fucking kids. Whoever.
Come on.
Oh, you guys can say that.
Ah.
You guys can say that, but I can't.
No,
That's
that's
racist.
fine. Well, we're part of the Illuminati. We're allowed to say whatever we want.
Oh, damn it! I got to get in on that.
No,
Well-
this is all a psyop to try to get the real Alex Jones back out of prison.
Bill Hicks.
Bill Hicks. Yeah. This is a psyop to reincarnate Bill Hicks.
Yeah. We got to.
They
It's
had
not
some of the
working.
same theories, and they're both from Austin, Texas. So you know.
They have the same teeth and shit. It's
Yeah.
That's how you're all.
Man, that's where it ends.
I stopped listening
Well,
to
dental-
both of them when I was 25.
They all became
He's the
hack
same
at age
guy.
25.
You're right.
Yeah.
No, do you think dental records? That's the way that we're going to find out who's a clone and who's the real.
I just saw a Biden clone meme. It's like they like show two pictures like this is him in 2016. This is him now. Does that even look like the same guy? It's like he's 100 years old. His face is melting off. Like, do you think his ears are gonna look? What the fuck point does this prove? You don't have to. This is my whole point with it. Like, the problem with conspiracies is like, the dude spent 50 years in public office backing the most atrocious laws that have ever been instituted in the United States.
Yeah, his crime
and
bill.
they're like, wouldn't it be weird if he was? It's like it's bad enough what he's already done. We don't need to make him a clone. Like let's just pretend he is just sniffing those children in a nice way. Like a friendly child sniffer. He's not trying to hurt him. He just likes the smell of the dude. It's like,
Yeah,
it's almost like when you go Obama's a lizard person. You go, what are you defending him?
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like, what are you detracting from the genocide?
I like to see Joe Biden recrafting that Rodney Dangerfield bit where he's like, I don't like children, I just like the way they smell.
Hey, I got no respect.
Hey.
I tell you, I was with the kid last week. Oh boy, I feel better now though.
My
That's a pretty good Rodney.
I can do some impressions here and there.
Pedo Rodney.
But it's a point that I'll make over and over again. But it's what these people have done on record is like, it's like what's worse, like you instituting mass incarceration, or you like supporting illegal warfare, or you fucking a handful of kids. It's like, well, one of them's provable for sure.
Yeah.
Like a couple of those Biden's definitely done. We don't need to have Alex Jones expose the fact that he wrote the crime bill.
That's why it
that
seems
he
so
supported
much
the
like a
drone war.
distraction to me.
Right.
Well, here's something that I noticed way back in the day with Alex Jones is he'd get on, and he still does. He has that radio show, but he would always. His whole justification for his whole existence is, folks, I don't want to be the one telling you this. I gain nothing from exposing all this stuff. Oh, really? You mean you don't gain millions from all those video sales? I mean, the
Sure.
mineral water, like, that guy's a millionaire.
Yeah,
man.
the colloidal silver.
Yeah, the colloidal silver. Which,
But he's also clearly fucking miserable. He's like fat and fucking
oh, yeah.
alcoholic. He like just got a DUI like a few months ago or whatever.
This is so
I'm not saying that he should-
psychoanalytic, like from the Freudian or Jungian, whatever. So his biggest evil in the world is that these interdimensional beings are trying to institute population control.
Which is true.
right.
Okay, but maybe it's just that he can't procreate.
But he has kids.
That's his
kids.
own
Not
insecurities, and he's projecting onto the world. They're trying to reduce the population. Well, maybe if you could just get laid.
Well,
Or it could be that I've noticed this that there's almost like there's a niche to fill. Like conspiracy theory as a thing is such a great like monetizable entertainment industry. Like it's a whole thing, and all you got to do is figure out your brand of it. Or okay, so I'm like trying to figure out okay, what conspiracy can I like? What's my take on it? Because it's him with the interdimensional beings and the central bank, the Illuminati. With David Icke, it's definitely the reptiles and the shapeshifters, and then that Jeff Rentz guy, it's the military-industrial complex, and me, it's the it's the fucking Teletubbies. Like you just have to find your, you know what I'm saying?
no, this is what I'm saying.
I want to make.
Sure.
I want
This is
in.
what
I
I'm
want to
saying.
make.
Find a new angle. Do it.
Like I have genuine concerns that I try to voice about like the military industrial complex and like GE and Raytheon and shit. And after a while, you're like, this. I'm really. It's like talking to a wall. With most people, you're like. So at this point, to me, it's more fun to just be like, Barron Trump's autistic. That's a fun one. Let's just talk about. Let's analyze his body language for hours at a time.
Oh, that's a
and
fun
just-
thing. Have you seen
He
the?
doesn't.
There's a woman who does body language analysis for whoever, whenever, like she has a video of Burke Ramsey, John Benet Ramsey's brother,
Yeah.
And so he's doing an interview on 2020 or whatever. And so she's trying to break down if he's being genuine or if he killed her. Yeah. So she concluded that, he's hiding something, but he's not the killer because he's doing...
Yeah, it was the parents.
Yeah. It's clearly... I think it was Patsy, and John was just the, kind of the...
Oh, you're going to win a beauty pageant, sweetheart? Go in the closet for a second.
Yeah.
There was like some guy... and this is another one, dude. Jamina Ramsey was never killed. She just grew up into Katy Perry.
Well, Katy Perry's gone through some name changes.
That's great. That's a great conspiracy. I like those ones a lot because the ones that are legitimate, like the CIA colluded to create ISIS, which is true.
Oh, yeah, that's not even
nobody
conspiracy.
gives a fuck about that. So why just talk about how
my favorite,
the Ronald McDonald House is a front for whatever, we start making up more conspiracy theories.
the best one I've heard is that Christine Blasey Ford is and the judge who was the justice now of the Supreme Court, who she testified against.
Oh, Kavanaugh.
They're the same person.
I mean,
they never showed up in the same room.
I love
she
that.
was like, I will not testify while he's here.
I fucking love that.
And then he comes in a bodysuit and is disputing everything.
What's weird is that they do
very
if
similar.
you put them next to each other, they
have a
do
similar amount
like
of neck
older
wrinkles.
versions of Wayne Campbell and Garth Algar. I like.
It's plausible. It's
it's
you
plausible.
realize how easy it is to make a plausible conspiracy because you go, well, okay, I can
And
see
this
that.
is so we should talk about this off mic.
Well, Elvis. So there's a guy that, like a pro singer in like Nashville, I think, who everybody around him is like, yeah, this is Elvis. He look at the jawbone, and the guy kind of, you could believe that almost from certain angles. And then when they are you tell us, are you Elvis? And he's like, oh, I don't want to go into any of that nonsense. I just like to do what I do and live my life. So that guy he's not saying no. He's never said no, I'm not.
Yeah, that's weird. I mean, that's not a good answer. But on the other hand, probably you're just sick of getting that question.
But no, I think what it really is, the simplest, Occam's razor, the simplest explanation is that by keeping it vague like that, he's cashing in. Like, he's getting so many gigs.
Could be, yeah.
Oh, my God, it's Elvis. And he sings like him, too. He's got that vibrato type voice. So I think that, do you guys remember, now this goes way back. I love this theory because this went on fucking national TV. Bill Bixby, who played the Incredible Hulk, the normal, not Hulk.
Yeah.
He goes, in 1988, he goes on, like, he bought the airtime himself on ABC primetime. And for 2 hours, he talked about how he and Elvis, after Elvis died, him and Elvis were secret DEA agents, and how Elvis actually lived all the way up until like 1992 and just died of a regular heart attack. But he's on.
This
like,
is
I
my
watched
favorite.
this.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah.
Have you heard of
look
this?
it up. You can Google it, and the video's got.
I mean,
I
so
gotta find
inconsequential if it's true. Why? I mean, then
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
But at the
like,
time-
once you get to, find the conspiracy that is the most consequential, and go talk to people about it for 6 months and see how fucking fun that is. Like, these are the ones I like more and more.
But
That's
what
I'm
I
saying.
think was brilliant is that everybody thought, like, Jesus, Bill Bixby's gone fucking crazy. Did you see that show last night? And I think it was actually, he either was crazy or it was, it allowed him to reboot his career for like 5 more years before he died. Bill Bixby.
Or Elvis didn't die when they told us he died, and he continued to live an extremely mundane life with Bill Bixby as his son.
And Andy Kaufman.
They're like, who would be
Andy Kaufman lives in Taos, New
Kaufman,
Mexico.
I don't know. Andy Kaufman probably did not die when he said he died.
Well, he
told
told all his best friends that he was going to fake his death.
who would be
Yeah,
a good
that's why that one is very plausible.
Who would be a good DEA agent? How about the most famous guy in the world, but he's fat and addicted to pills.
Yeah.
That's a
Well, yeah, because
recipe.
he gets
for,
in with the.
That's
if
a
he,
recipe for success. For
If
the
he goes
idiot.
to a dealer, yeah, I need you to hook me up. Oh, of course. You know, and then
Oh, you're
gotcha.
up. No, actually, a good point. But no, because he would have to explain why he faked his death. It'd be a whole
Well,
thing.
there'd be some inside story. Yeah, that's a good point.
Do you guys know, like the Paul McCartney conspiracy that Paul is dead? Paul,
yeah.
the Paul fall.
I killed. Turn me on, dead man. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's another backward masking thing. So on there's a song Revolution Number 9 on the White Album, and it's just piano music with a weird, deliberately backmasked thing. And so forward, it says the Night Watchman in a blue suit, and if you play it backwards, it says "Turn me on, Deadman."
Right, and like on Abbey Road when they were
barefoot.
Yeah, he's barefoot
Yeah.
because people when they're buried are barefoot or whatever.
And there's a hearse in the background.
Is there?
Yeah, parked on the
Oh
street.
shit, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about the Paul. Do you know about this? Like that.
No, this seems.
The conspiracy theory is that Paul McCartney died in a car accident in 1966, but the Beatles were such a draw financially that they got another guy and made him pretend to be Paul. And they called
it was
him
Yoko
Paul,
Ono in
like
drag.
Faux Paul.
That explains some of his solo work.
Well, no. What's fucked up is that like right at that time that he died, it's like I hate all the Beatles albums before that. So actually, I prefer Fall. I prefer fake Paul to real Paul.
Well, and look
when
at
you
the
get right
stuff he
down
did
to
with
it.
Wings. We made fun of it in the 70s, but I listened to that the Speed of Sound album, like fucking amazing shit. Like you can tell that Paul was the brains behind the outfit in the Beatles because
I don't know about
his
that.
orchestrate. I'm not talking about lyrics, but he orchestrated the melodies and the instrumentation.
I mean, yeah, Paul McCartney was great, but the irony was that like to talk about like that early like hold your hand shit, like we could have had more of that instead of fucking are you saying that fake Paul made Helter Skelter? Because that's a way better song than anything he did before '66.
That's
like,
true.
go
yeah.
fuck yourself. I'm
and
glad Paul died.
The entire Sgt. Pepper album and the White Album, like both those concept albums.
Yeah.
But they had an interview with the George Best, I think, the fifth Beatle, allegedly. But he pointed out that the major shift happened when they went to visit the Maharishi and got into psychedelics. It was like all of a sudden they came back from that trip, and it's like, oh my God, let's write about yellow submarines and lizard people.
Western raccoons and whatever the fuck they were. Yeah.
That's a fucking conspiracy theory that they went to the east to find LSD.
Well, yeah,
Well,
because
they got it from
Leary was
Bob
developing
Dylan.
it with. It wasn't Leary. Who was the guy?
Could have been Ram Dass. I don't know.
No, but basically,
Dylan's the one that gave the Beatles LSD.
yeah.
The
Maybe
first
I was
time,
listening to
at
the wrong
least.
podcast then, because they were saying that it was the Maharishi. Yeah, why would he? The Maharishi wouldn't have acid because he would try to get them there drug free. Like, oh, we're going to trip by meditating.
There is a scene, though, in that movie that is making fun of that exact thing you're talking about. The movie with
Walk Hard?
Walk Hard, yeah, where they
Oh,
go
yeah.
trip acid with
That's
the
hilarious.
Beatles and the Maharishi.
No, it's like Jack Black playing Paul McCartney for no
Yeah.
reason. But he does like make the like they're he's like Jack Black is McCartney. He's like why must you be so dark when I'm so impish and whimsical? It's like,
Whimsical, yeah.
but Paul McCartney, he was a great songwriter, but like everybody's solo career sucked after they broke up. Like they had
One
a
exception,
handful of good songs.
Ozzy really took off as a soul. He was Black Sabbath and then got kicked out. And 3, 4, 5 albums. He did really well.
Yeah, because he ate a bat's head. That's how you have a solo career.
He's the one who started the virus.
Mm-hmm.
Sharon caught it, and then the kids, and then it kind of went dormant for a while.
Spread through several MTV interns.
Yeah, Martha Quinn. They were fucking. You know that. You look at all those old MTV VJs back then compared to... I mean, like, so everybody jokes
Compared
about...
to the do they even have VJs now?
I don't even think they do anything related to music anymore. Do they?
No, the M just
They
stands
don't,
for M.
Yeah, they don't show rock videos or hip-hop videos
Who
or
fucking
anything.
knows? Who has cable? I don't. Who
Yeah, I
knows?
just go internet now. I got rid of my cable.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, geez, I can... Just YouTube alone, I can be lost for hours on just all kinds of weird shit.
I got season tickets to Dr. Phil on Zoom, and I just sit there and I'm I'm an emoji, but I get to watch Dr. Phil live.
Just watch him interview Bad Baby and
Yeah, he interviews all these kids who were raped by politicians, and and I sit there in the audience and I'm in the chat stream like, LOL, saw this coming.
Circling back to that, the first time I had heard about like that whole thing, we haven't talked about MK Ultra and Project Monarch. These were like MK Ultra was actually a real thing that Senator Ted Kennedy blew open and at least on the surface put a stop to. Theory is they went underground when he cut their funding. But MK Ultra was this whole decades-long, and they got it from Nazi scientists.
right. It was
And
a
it's the
program
idea
to it was a program to trap a young 20-year-old girl in a car and drive it into a river and drown her. That was Ted Kennedy, right?
Well, his William Kennedy Smith was the one who did that, but he covered it up. No, MK Ultra was basically the CIA was looking for ways to...
It's mind control.
Yeah, it's mind control, but specifically...
But it was a huge thing. They had all kinds of social programming.
Yeah, but what it originated with was they wanted to find a way to compartmentalize secret information in a spy, and then you could retrieve the information through a trigger.
Yeah, like Manchurian Candidate.
Yeah, Manchurian Candidate, but on the good side,
This is why you need dental fillings. That's where they store the secret information.
So there was a woman named Kathy O'Brien. She wrote a book called Transformation of America. And so basically her story is that some guy named Phil something rescued her from an MK Ultra underground sex slave, and it's really amusing because it's completely uncredible. And yet, I don't know. Then again, the Wiener's laptop shit, maybe it is real. So Kathy O'Brien is saying that in the 70s, she was raped. Well, she was brought to the White House and raped by Hillary Clinton and Gerald Ford. And that's when it starts to lose credibility when you just randomly naming it.
Was this part of the the press dinner?
I don't.
They usually...
I don't know.
Was
about
Seth
Usually
Meyers
rape
there?
a couple kids.
Was Seth Meyers there? Was he on the
he wasn't on that
the dais?
version.
on the rape dais?
Yeah, no. There was this ex-FBI guy, Phil Schneider, who was on the dais, and he was like kind of lobbing her question or answers. Say the thing with the guy,
There's a book similar to that, Transformation of America, which I have not read that one, but I read a similar one about a ex-CIA guy who went rogue. And he was no longer CIA, and he started talking to people and telling them apparently classified things that he wasn't supposed to be talking about. And this book is about he got kidnapped one night, and it's like that scene in The Matrix, if you remember, where they get Neo and they got him in the back of the limo.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they put that weird fucking thing in his chest.
Yep.
And he wakes up. This shit is like a real story of that, where he woke up in an ER and he started to have these weird sensations in his chest, and anytime he started talking about certain subjects, he would start to have heart palpitations.
Jesus.
And this is somebody who David Icke references this book all the time, where this dude is literally being controlled remotely, where he's not allowed to talk about any of these subjects, and they've got some sort of medical device implanted in his chest where they can give him near-death experiences.
It's like directed energy weapons. Dues you
were talking about Project Montauk, which was around
Monarch.
the same time. Oh, you were talking about Monarch, because Montauk was a psychic energy project around MK Ultra, where they had all these psychic psychically inclined people.
Remote viewing.
Yeah, it was remote viewing, and they were trying to use psychics to direct energy to create weapons. So they had satellites, and they were trying to get these psychic people to direct their energy through a satellite and try to, shoot Iran or whatever. And what ended up happening, supposedly, was that some of these people revolted against the researchers and used energy to invoke some demon who, came and started destroying the whole laboratory. And they had if you see the supposed evidence of all this is that this old site where they had been doing this research, there's this huge prison where they had supposedly imprisoned this demon, and the demon broke free, and they had to cancel a project and whatever, and who knows where this demon went now. But
we're talking about Hellboy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're talking about Ron Perlman, these psychics in the 70s.
This monster.
And then he joined the Sons of
Started
Anarchy.
a hacky motorcycle club drama on FX.
They said, could you possibly nuke Iran with your mind? And then suddenly Ron Perlman was born.
Yeah. He was like, no, but I can play
like
the Beast in a live-action version of the Beauty and the Beast nobody asked for. And we were evil.
See, now you're getting into the whole, oh my God, did you see this freaky shit? So you know what the CERN Hadron Collider is? It's like a big...
Of course, yeah.
So in CERN, Switzerland. Well, around the time... and so the theory is that, the elites are really using it to open a portal so that these supernatural beings can come through and fuck us or whatever.
Whatever they want to
do. But the freaky fucking thing is that there was they built a tunnel near CERN. They built a tunnel that goes, I forgot if it's from Austria through to France or something like that.
Uh-huh.
The dedication of the tunnel is just the creepiest performance art shit.
Yeah. It's the weird goats dancing.
Yeah, well, they have these train cars coming through with these boom, 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 like drum beats.
Right.
And these people are doing all these demonic dances and you can see the audience so there's the kind of the businessmen sponsors of the project that are all like, oh yes,
yeah,
and then everybody behind them is just like, what the fuck? And so the theory is that whole 2-hour performance was like the opening ceremony to welcome the demons.
Invocation.
The demons that are going to come fuck us. I'm just glad somebody is going to fuck me, but that's...
It just shows you how fucking stupid people are, because it's really not that hard to invoke Baphomet. You don't need physics, really.
Just ask.
You do not need neutrinos, and you don't need virtual particles. You don't need any sort of electricity to shoot. That's what a waste of time.
Yeah,
Trying to invoke a demon, but in talking about those musical, dramatic ceremonies that are psyops or whatever, there was some that I was watching that was part of the 96 Olympic Games in
Atlanta.
England, where it was like a pandemic musical.
Oh, I saw that.
You've seen that one where they have all the doctors whisking people around in beds and everyone's wearing masks and whatever.
Yeah, it is really weird.
It's bizarre, but there was also a mural at DIA in '99 that had people of all countries wearing masks.
That was there way after 90. That was there. That might still even be there.
And
I don't think it's still there, but it was painted. Whatever. It was in the 90s that it was painted, but it's everyone of different countries wearing masks with their flag on the mask.
Yep.
And then laying down swords in front of this
beat their swords into plowshares quote.
Bullshit.
Plowshares. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's a great Ned Kelly. He was like the Australian Jesse James. But he had the great quote. He was like, the Bible says to turn your armor into plowshares, but I say unto you, turn your plowshares into armor. And they actually welded their own armor and fought the government. He ended up getting hung, but but he was a bad motherfucker. The whole way there.
Nice.
Yeah.
But that mural, I mean, it's. I used to, because again, on Alex Jones, they had this woman named Alex Christopher. Say she was the first to write about and talk about the DIA airport conspiracy, and right off the bat, I'm like, you fucking idiot! I've lived here long enough that there's all these false premises and just huge leaps of. This is what made me stop believing most conspiracies because, again, they kind of rely on people that really don't know much about actual facts around the conspiracy. So, okay, anyway, DIA thing, they said, okay, first of all, here's the first suspicious thing. Denver already had a perfectly fine airport. It was called Stapleton International Airport. I'm like, yeah, I used to live near there, and almost on a daily basis, people would complain how shitty the airport is because anytime a wind blew, you had to close down like 2 of the 5 runways because they're so close together that
there are still runways.
Yeah, it's like a
too.
huge
They still land planes there.
Obviously, they're gonna like at some point they're gonna be like, we have to build a bigger airport. Obviously,
well, okay,
it's a massive hub.
Well, the thing about DIA
just
is that
location-wise.
Ricardo Pena, in 1977 started pitching DIA. So this is like 22 years before it opened. They were already making plans because you couldn't expand Stapleton because Park Hill, all the neighborhoods around it, there were. So my point is that anybody that like actually lives around or knows about the whatever the conspiracy thing is always like, what? This is horseshit. But enough other people, you know what I'm saying? It's like
yeah.
Well, that's a pretty minor point, though. I don't know what, but that's the main point.
Okay, but that's not my. What I'm saying, that was the first of many very bad points, and
well, no, like I understand what you're saying because it's like I'm trying to remember whenever the fuck it was because it had to have been like early times that I actually like had access to the internet, and I was a poor drunk. So I was I got internet late, but I remember like reading shit on like Infowars or wherever the fuck about like Jade Helm and the FEMA camps, and that was like minimum 8 years ago, and it's like so you live through like the fear of like what are they doing here, and then nothing pans out, and you go
remember
I'm retarded.
Remember Comet Ison?
Yeah,
that was going to destroy us.
Or like,
and then it didn't even come anywhere.
Whatever that Heaven's Gate shit. It's like
Hail Bop.
Hail Bop. After a while, you just go, I'm not gonna. And then, once,
which is really, I mean, it puts the conspiracy world kind of on par with science and the news world.
I put them in exactly
all
the
their
same
predictions
level.
are nonsense. Like most of it is just wrong.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, you like for the mainstream people, when they talk to a person that is like, Jade Helm, whatever, the government's going to come put us all in Walmart concentration camps tomorrow. The sadness that they look at, like when they look at that person and they go, well, this is a disturbed individual. That's the way we should be looking at everybody that like watches CNN. We should just be like, what?
Yeah, it should be. It's really two sides of the same spectrum.
You know what I think is going to happen? Okay, so let's get back to the New World Order thing, because the fear is always like, oh my God, we're all going to be in FEMA camps and you'll never be able to do anything again. I think what's going to happen, worst case scenario, is we're going to come out of this with just 100 more new laws that make our lives a little bit more hassled and restrictive. Maybe we'll be like China where, see, here's the thing. With China, people who live there that I've talked to, it's like, we just live our lives. It's just that we all know that every light pole has a surveillance camera with facial recognition, and it's kind of creepy to. I'm not saying that I want us to go there, but
we're already
incrementally. That's what I'm saying is that
this is why people are
also there's a social currency system and
yeah, that's fucked
we already
up.
have that.
Not to that extent though.
No,
they can actually
not to that extent.
They can prevent
we don't
you
have
from,
any restrictions on our life based on our social score, which that's
but the precursors are there though.
For sure.
What I submit is that like we had a slight period where technology like gave us access to information that allowed us common people to like jump slightly ahead of the propaganda.
Yeah.
And now that gap is closing again.
That's what happens. There's a new technology. There's a new technology. It helps the common man above the establishment, but it only lasts little bit.
When we look at some other culture and we go, the way they live is so dehumanizing. It's like, no, the way we're living is dehumanizing. And by the way, if you were able to see through your own, not only your own filters but everybody else's filters too, I'm sure it would be horrifying if we were able to see how dehumanizing whatever this is. You know what I mean?
That's relativist, but I mean, North Korea is not a place. You don't want to go from here to North Korea.
Oh yeah.
Maybe if you were born in North Korea and you don't know anything else, you could be happy.
Oh, but even then, those people are like, when they even get. I mean, okay, if they're, I see what you're saying. That okay, if you were born under that, you didn't really know what any good thing was. You kind of accepted it, and yet tens of thousands of people are always running toward that border. So even people who grew up with it want to escape it.
Sure. But what I'm saying,
maybe that's not your point.
I agree with that. But I made this point like the day after the last election. Yeah, the day after 9/11, I was like, listen, freshman English is kicking my ass, but I have Facebook didn't exist then. But no, I made this point the day after the election. We in the United States have never once had a president. We've never had somebody be elected to the office of president without them first declaring their belief that they will eventually achieve immortality. That's never happened. Never once. Never once. Really? Every president that has ever been elected has said that. They've all kind of they've all bend the knee. They've all bent the knee basically to evangelical Christianity, and that is they are saying out loud basically, it's part of the belief system. I will achieve immortality someday.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Will
so like,
and if you go to
now, what are the literal words that have been said?
But that's the point.
I think I see what you're getting at.
If you went to a president and said, do you think you're going to achieve immortality someday? They would have to say, yeah.
Yes, I believe the afterlife.
Yes.
Yeah, it's funny.
I believe whatever Midwestern evangelicals tell me to believe.
In other words, Obama couldn't admit that he's an atheist.
Every president has said that.
But I'm asking you, what are the actual words they say?
Every president has subscribed to a particular Christian belief system, a staple of which is the belief that you will one day achieve immortality. You'll go to heaven. That's what heaven is immortality. They believe that they will achieve
eternal
immortality.
life.
And every leader that we've elected has implied, at very least implied, they certainly would not imply that they don't believe that. They would they would for fucking sure never say, I believe for sure I will never achieve immortality.
Yeah, like Obama can't admit he's an atheist. He's invoking...
So that's what I'm saying. Like, this is how... Like,
I'm referring to Bill Maher was on one of their panels. He was saying, yeah, if you look at Obama's policies and some of the things he says just candidly, he sounds like an atheist. But he could never admit that. That's where I kind of got that from.
Sure.
And you could read into that
nobody
maybe.
Could.
Yeah.
It'd be...
But that base is pretty huge. So, yeah, you have to kind of kowtow to... like Hillary, I remember part of her campaign was going through all these Southern Baptist and Pentecostal churches, and oh yes, the Lord is good. That we have such a great electoral system.
Speaking in tongues, handling snakes.
Yeah, but that was in the sex dungeon underneath, below the church. Oh God, yeah. You guys, Alan, you'd love that. There's a book called "This Present Darkness." Written by Frank Peretti.
Yeah, Frank Peretti. Yeah.
Oh my God, you'll laugh because it's got some real cheesy stuff, but man, it is well written. You have to admit that. Two of them, This Present Darkness and here's the gist. These books are about kind of a small town that you're introduced to these characters they're the good guys, and they unfortunately stumble upon a secret conversation behind a carnival ride, and it's the mayor and some witch or something. That's chapter 1. Chapter 2 is the angels and demons that are behind the scenes doing their warfare through the people, the townspeople, and it's every other chapter like that. So it ramps up to this huge angelic demonic warfare when they finally kill the mayor, and
that's. I mean, really, my point is like.
So that's what Hillary's doing.
To everybody here, everybody listening, go Google who is my mayor.
Google what?
Google who is the mayor of my town.
Oh, who is the mayor of my town?
And where does he live? And then go to his house and kill him with an axe. That's what I'm saying. Because he's a demon.
No, but you have to do it through prayer.
I'm sorry.
To the book.
Well, I'm sorry.
So there's an
no,
angel.
Did I say axe? I meant prayer.
There is
kindness.
The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but spiritual. We wrestle not against
this
flesh
is all a psyop. Your mayor is actually a lizard hologram, and if you try to hit him with an axe, it's going to go straight fucking through
Exactly.
him.
That's
go
what
back
I'm
to
saying.
the.
That's why I'm saying the axe. Go for the axe. Then
but it has to be the
illusion.
golden axe that's been blessed by the pedophile priest. Or anti-blessed, is that? Have you heard of the Black Pope, by the way? Not ethnically, the Dark Pope, the Shadow Pope. So there's like a secret pope.
No, hold on. Can you do the character of the Black Pope?
I've heard of a black mass. That's it.
Yeah, well, so that it follows the same thing. So there's the Vatican and the Catholic Church, but then there's a secret, real power that apparently is run by the Jesuits. And this is an interesting thing. I didn't know this. There's something in the original founding documents of the Vatican that the cardinal rule, no pun intended, is that there can never be a Jesuit pope, because if a Jesuit is able to infiltrate the papacy, that is the Antichrist. And guess who's a Jesuit?
This last pope?
The current Pope Francis is the first Jesuit pope. Yep. Now here's another thing. So the title, the Latin phrasing for the Pope translates to the Vicar of Christ, and it's like Deus Vicaros Christos, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So the interesting thing is that what does vicar mean? What's that the root word of? Vicarious. The vicar of Christ. In place of Christ. The word anti means in place of.
Well, this is like the whole
so the Pope is the Antichrist. The whole holds the office of replacement of Christ.
Like the Baptists believe this. I think it's pretty mainstream as far as like Baptists go. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, the Catholic Church is the beast of prophecy and
there's a million reasons why that's not true.
The Whore of Babylon.
Well, okay.
Right? Why would the Whore of Babylon fuck children? Why?
Well, that's part of the ritual.
Yeah. What kind of crazy? Yeah.
Well, here's an interesting thought experiment, or just a research experiment, when it comes to all these atrocities and everything. Sometime when you have the chance, read up on all the shit that Nero Caesar did when he was in power.
I'm sure.
And here's the thing: what I've come to believe is, and now it's very clear, because the author says it right at the beginning. In the book of Revelation, John of Patmos, the guy who wrote it, was basically saying, "I'm writing this letter to the 7 churches in Asia Minor about the things that are now taking place and must soon take place." And then he gets into how, I was in a trance and I saw a 7-headed beast come up out of the ocean. And on top of each of the 7 heads were 10 crowns, which represent rulers.
Right.
So basically what he's doing is the people he's sending the letters to, this is code.
Yeah.
Because if he just outright said, hey, everybody, Nero is the Antichrist... Sure. Here's how we're gonna get around that. If any of those letters got intercepted, they would have all been beheaded, because you don't criticize the Caesar. They were basically the god of the Roman Empire. So he's making it so clear that Nero was the Antichrist that he was, even the dates, like he ruled for. The prediction was that he's going to rule for 48 months, and then die by the sword, and that's what happened. Nero, it was 3.5 years, and then he killed himself with a sword.
So the kind of like Jungian or like Campbellian like archetypal interpretation of that is
Didn't,
is
every
that
fucking emperor die by the sword?
no, that's what I'm saying is like.
But there was such specifics on that.
But that's the thing is like the whatever story was most archetypally true, what people would put up, like they would push that, they would keep that one alive the longest, and that's the thing, like.
But he was.
Fuck,
like,
I hate to say this because it was actually, unfortunately, a Ben Shapiro quote. But he was saying something about like the Torah or whatever, and he was like, it's not what happened, it's what always happens.
Oh yeah, like cyclical.
Yeah, it's like these are things that are gonna, so long as you have like halls of power, there will be like bad people there will be that it will be infested by lizard pedophiles. And there's nothing you can do about that. You just but that's the thing is like whatever those prescriptions were, those are probably the closest you can get to it. Do you know what I mean? like
Closest in what sense? You mean for that time? Or?
For any time. Like that's what I'm saying is
Okay.
like whatever to be Christ-like in the face of the Antichrist is the closest you can get to.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, like the way you deal with it is to not play into that system,
right?
and that's
right.
what he was. That's his point in writing those letters was, here's how we deal with this,
right?
And
like the casting delusion on the minds of men, all these things. Those are things that we can. As any empire is falling apart, and as like moral structure or decency is falling apart, or as human beings identifying with their with like their bodies or themselves, increases and a nightmare unfolds as it always will. This is infinity. This will
it's
happen
like the
ad
Ouroboros.
nauseam.
There will be another version of this same story in the next generation.
Maybe Nero was just really, really good at fiddle. He was a really fucking good fiddle player.
Hey, it was a gold fiddle. He won it against this punk ass.
As he was playing the fiddle, he was like, "Guys, there's a fire behind you," and they're like, "What? No, keep playing, please."
No, we want to
This
hear
is
this.
great. I love this.
It's sort of Buddhist.
Play
You think about your
Freebird.
house is burning, and you're like, I'm going to play a song.
Yeah,
Maybe he was spiritually evolved.
He was on the
You
Titanic.
go, he was such a horrible leader. No. He accepted the futility of the material realm. And that actually artistic expression is the only truth. I don't understand why he's demonized.
That's
that's the scapegoating thing. Tribalism leads to scapegoating because you have to, when the tribe falls apart or is low on resources, the leader has to find someone to make into the enemy to get the people to rally, strengthen.
That's I've not heard this ever directly expressed, but I do think if Trump was put in power, if it was not in fact some sort of fluke that he ended up in power, that this was all deliberate, I cannot think of a better scapegoat and a better distraction for the Western world.
Absolutely.
I mean, certainly there's never been a better distraction.
Trump would get on live TV and play the fiddle.
Well, he was talking about establishing Trump TV that's just independent from all the other, it would be...
It would get good ratings.
What's it?
It would be... I'm sure
headroom.
In
people
other
would
words, he
watch
could
it.
get on there and use it like Twitter, but live TV, and everybody would get it. Talk about being able to completely control the narrative.
It's not going to happen.
I'm just saying he was talking about it.
I don't know, though, that would control the narrative. You still have a choice as to what you... Ultimately, you have a choice as to what media...
So you didn't hear about this conspiracy theory that, the whole 10 Days of Darkness thing?
No.
So what the theory is there that so one of the Q drops is that get ready 10 days of darkness, and so what's going to happen is all broadband communicate cell phones, television, internet, it's all going down.
Coincidentally, right before the election.
Right before the election. And then what's going to happen is him and the military are going to be able to then use the EMS broadcast band, which is unassailable from any other network. And so it'll be military messages and him, kind of like North Korea, where...
Sort of like Saw.
You're
just in a room.
I don't know enough of the
only
reference.
communication we're gonna have is from mini tapes that we're all gonna have a mini tape, and it's gonna tell us where the key is hidden.
Yeah.
Let's hope it's not in your abdomen.
So basically, he's going to kind of do his own propaganda on that, because that's the only thing you'll be able to watch.
But that's the thing is like if it.
I would love. I am looking forward to some new propaganda. Frankly, tired of this fucking propaganda.
I know that's the same. It's like droning. And sorry, go ahead.
No. You're, but it's just this idea like that. If I like, rambled to like, like a coworker, like any like normal person about all this shit, like it'd fuck up their day for sure. Like to be like yeah, we're fucked. Like everything you like to know like that nothing you know can be trusted, which is the reality of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, great example of that. There's no way that Isaac Cappy threw himself off of an overpass.
Right.
And then all of a sudden Tom Hanks tweets that there's a bottle cap in the desert. Oh, that's interesting. I hope nobody got hurt.
He was like a roadkill. I hope not.
Yeah, roadkill for. Yeah. And then hashtag Isaac.
Did I
say Tom Cruise? I meant Tom Hanks.
And then he was outing fucking Seth Green. Seth Green is in this movie Party Monster about Michael Alec, who murdered a guy, and now he's hanging out on YouTube doing joking about doing ketamine with children in drag, and then fucking Macaulay Culkin, the co-star in Party Monsters, he coming out with a band called Pizza Underground, where he's fucking doing Velvet Underground songs and eating pizza and also this very bizarre symbolism. But I'm sure it's all fine.
And again, real coded language. Yeah, I mean, you see these videos. There's like an interview with Adam Sandler talking about Jennifer Aniston, and he says, she invited me to this pizza party, and she was raving about it, and all my friends are like, come on, man, you're resisting, and you just got to come.
Wondering why Sandler got so depressed.
Yeah, and he looks very depressed in this interview. He goes, and they kept on badgering me that, no, quit resisting. You got to come. It's really great. She makes the best homemade pizza, and there's this walnut sauce that goes with it.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't even want to know what walnut sauce is.
Oh, yeah, that's
what it is.
That's a whole thing.
You know what it is.
It's
I really don't.
It's jizz. It's probably jizz or something like that. Like dog jizz or some shit. But so he's talking about she makes this great who talks like that. I went to this party, and you got to come because she makes the best homemade pizza. Like, oh yeah, okay. And that goes to the whole Podesta thing, where one of his emails was, hey, I want to take you up on that pizza party. I figure I'll come over and have pizza for an hour. Like what? Who puts a time on how long you're going to have pizza?
All of the pizza emails in
it's boy fucking.
The Hillary dump are weird and cryptic like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
you left a map out at my house. It seems pizza related.
I'm going to show you guys something.
Please
okay,
tell me.
So do you know that?
Thanks for coming over. You left some pizza on the wall.
Yeah, right. Do you guys know how the FBI they found all those symbols that pedophiles use to communicate? So the blue triangle one,
Absolutely.
the spiral. Okay. So
by this way, the symbol for Lakewood,
it's what?
Colorado.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's like their city
Jesus.
symbol, dude.
Yeah, figures they're
it's
all
like
a bunch of fucking.
That's the tragedy in picking such a generic symbol for a Township because some fucking
No,
conspiracy
no,
theorists
no,
are gonna
no,
come
they're
out.
not
Yeah, but
doing
when
that
it's
on
the
accident,
exact
dude.
okay, but let's see.
Blue
Voodoo
Triangle
Donuts.
fucking.
Voodoo Donuts.
Oh,
has the
first
pedophile
search
symbol
right
in
there. I'll show you.
That's probably not a coincidence, but Blue
Yeah.
Triangle's a little generic.
No. It's an interlocking triangle. It's two
it's
triangles.
like a
Oh, the
concentric-
Nambla or whatever.
Yeah. So look at that. That's the exact boy love triangle on the Pope's arm.
Yeah,
Well, it's a low res. You got to like look at it
it's
closely.
a
Yeah, no, of
hieroglyphic.
course.
It's a hieroglyphic for boy pussy. We all know this.
And I don't know. And maybe you have a point that it's just a coincidence because it's a generic thing.
It's just a real shame if you happen to like. As a kid, I remember just drawing stuff, and I was like, drawing shapes and stuff on my, desk.
I
And
remember carving shapes into the back of a child's slate.
Suddenly, yeah,
Suddenly, there's an interlocking
I
triangle.
had drawn a sigil for Baal. Suddenly, there's a cloaked figure behind me. No, but
And he
actually, what I
appears.
did was
I was drawing the logo for Wayfair on the back of a Filipino boy.
what I drew. I was drawing 4 pointed
things just come
stars,
up.
4 pointed stars, 5 pointed stars, 6 pointed stars,
Yeah.
7, 8, and I started experimenting with the like 2 triangle hexagrams, and people were like, "Are you Jewish?" And I was like, "I don't fucking know what that is. Jewish." I mean, at a certain level, it is just shapes.
Yeah, I was working on.
Well, the Nazi symbol-
I was learning about numbers, and I was doing. I was writing out numbers on the forearms of
Children.
Jewish of Jewish.
As I said,
Prepubescent.
I tattooed a sigil of Bwer on my own taint, and then I was healed.
and it opened it turned like a glowing yellow, and I slipped through to the. No, there's.
And
what
then
was it?
Bwer said,
that's
"Are
when-
you the keymaster?"
And that's when the Cloven
the
Hoof
Stay
one,
Stay Puft
came
Marshmallow
into my
Man
body.
came through, and I am the Keymaster of Gozer. I tell you,
am
there
the
will be much
gatekeeper."
carnage in that day.
And then we crossed streams, and that's the end of that story.
I remember the first time I saw my dad's dick. We were crossing streams, and that's the day I figured out that I was adopted because they didn't match.
His dick was black.
Because his dick. No. No, because cut uncut, and I thought, well, that doesn't.
Are you cut?
Yeah, I'm cut.
Well, yeah. Okay.
I
So
mean,
your
I
dad
think,
is
but see,
unclean.
I was born in that. I mean, I don't know. Our whole modern life has been that. Everybody's pretty much cut because they've made it into just a medical thing. They're like, oh, well, it'll be sanitary. The kid won't have to clean himself because if you have the foreskin, you have to, you get all the nasty. whatever.
Supposedly, it's horrible if you leave the human body alone. You
Yeah, right.
develop spontaneous infections all the time.
Listen, it's
Have you
perfectly
heard,
healthy to be uncircumcised, but
No, it's just disgusting.
there's nothing medically wrong with being uncircumcised, but it's
You want
just
your
like
dick to look
how
like a-
else are you going to get the joy that comes with cutting a baby's dick? How else are you going to do that?
Yeah,
What else
those
are you
doctors
How
are-
else are you going to make these high-end skin creams if not
right
from
Oh,
harvesting
did you
these
see that on
foreskins?
Ellen when she just like blurted that out?
when she rubbed baby foreskins
Yeah,
all over her face.
it comes from
danced
Korean
around.
baby foreskins. Yeah.
she was like, put on a happy song I love to dance to.
Oh, my
And then
gosh.
she rubbed baby foreskins all over her face. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like stem cells, like if you eat them.
In the Ellen has also rubbed those on her face and danced around.
yeah, there
Yeah.
was a whole.
She's a monster. You think Hitler was bad? You see the body stacked behind Ellen DeGeneres. The mass graves underneath the NBC fucking underneath 30 Rock because of that bitch.
See, I think Hitler hid in Argentina, and for a while he was an Elvis impersonator as well.
Apt People
pretty good
was
one.
about Hitler training Ellen DeGeneres.
And who is-
He was like, "Well, look, I thought I would teach her a thing or two, but all of a sudden she's yelling at me. You march."
It's kind of incredible, like how the bar for cancel culture, because they're like, okay, Cosby raped 60 people, and then they go, we're not fucking no more Cosby. Then they go, Louis C.K. jerked off in front of
Girls,
6 people.
Yeah.
And then they go, no more Louis C.K. And then they go, Aziz Ansari asked for a blowjob from one Jew. And then they go, Ellen DeGeneres was rude.
Yeah,
No,
right.
no,
yeah.
but that's the thing. That's
Like,
the
it
thing.
doesn't
It's
even
weirdly-
matter
Cancel
anymore.
her. Yeah.
No, Ellen.
I don't like you. You're canceled.
Ellen
Apart
DeGeneres,
from the foreskins and whatever.
Ellen DeGeneres has
children she's eaten.
Ellen, and this is documented. Ellen DeGeneres has gassed entire studio audiences multiple
Yeah,
times.
with sarin gas.
No,
yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Like-
yeah, dude, she makes Bashir al-Assad look like a fucking. She makes Bashir al-Assad look like fucking Mother Teresa.
Yeah, did you see
Yeah.
the
He's a
deleted?
fucking-
De Niro walks up and she goes, "Hey, I got some," and she does the rice
Yeah,
in the
right.
envelope thing.
She just
Yeah.
blows anthrax into people's
Anthrax.
faces.
Right.
2 weeks later, she's like, "Hey, Robert, how are you feeling? Are you sick? How are you?" And then,
Yeah.
that's a Breaking Bad reference.
No, when she had George W. Bush on, she people think like it was her like
Well, that's proof
she
that
was
she's
implying. She's like, listen,
yeah, she's deep
you're
state.
right, Georgie boy.
Oh, she's for sure deep state. I mean, in the March, she had Fauci on the show, and she was like, "So what can we expect in the coming months, Senior
wow.
Fauci?" And literally explaining to Ellen's audience, "Well, essentially, you should expect to have a microchip injected into your spleen via doctor."
Your Wayfair cabinets are going to come in maybe 3 or 4 weeks late.
$30,000
That's
will
just-
be
we have,
taken from your Venmo.
Yeah.
And you might smell kind of a weird leathery skin kind of smell. That's just the high quality kid flesh we're
That's
using.
a high quality boy pussy. You'll still get the high quality boy pussy you've come to expect from Wayfair. And
We will also send you. You get complimentary red leather shoes.
Right, yeah.
You gotta have that.
God damn it.
By the way, Luis Martinez sold me one random red leather shoe backstage one time.
Yeah, that was a hint at something, I'm sure.
Well, nothing would surprise me coming out of that guy.
It's mostly a hint that he's poor. But
Yeah, he just got that from the dollar store.
yeah.
You could tell because it had that. You know how if you buy a shoe or any kind of item, it has the plastic smell from the container or the little wrapping that you had it in.
Yeah.
It just still smelled like that.
So Lewis is selling shoes, and you smelled them.
The shoe. I set the shoe down here. I could smell it from there. I didn't have to go up to my nose. It was like such a strong odor. I just assume that anything that guy buys, he just either found in a dumpster that I buy from him or you buy from him. He either found it in a dumpster or outright stole it from somewhere. I mean, he's probably stolen.
There's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, he's probably stolen shoes off of people sleeping on the light rail while they're sitting there.
That's impressive, but it's probably possible.
Yeah, that's
sure.
true.
I'm
He's
sure
not the
that's
stealthiest person. I love you, Lewis, if you're listening.
He doesn't have a smartphone. He's not. What do you think?
He's got the flip phone.
He's like
The old-
he's like still like has just like an old like 4th gen iPod that he's like downloading the podcast off of iTunes.
Yeah. The little with the little circle.
the circle dial.
Oh, Jesus.
I can't imagine he has a computer. He said he was starting.
He has a Tandy.
a new
Vic
podcast. He's going solo because Corey quit.
Yeah, last night I heard about that because he was talking to yeah, that fucking tall guy bitched out on me, man, pussy. I was, I'm going to do it on my own, bro. That's my Lewis in person.
Yeah.
Hurts my voice
Just
to do that.
pretending to be Hispanic almost kills you. Just the thought.
No, just the way he's just he's such a character.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're
Rest in peace, Luis Martinez.
R.I.P. Luis
Well,
Martinez.
it's not the real him. The real Luis Martinez is off on Gitmo or somewhere.
Luis Martinez is a clone. R.I.P. to Luis's clone. We're like almost 3 hours.
R.I.P. Ellen
Holy shit.
DeGeneres. R.I.P.
R.I.P. Luis Martinez. R.I.P. Luis DeGeneres.
R.I.P. Nero.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Jeff Epstein.
Epstein's Island, but not Epstein himself because he's still alive.
Okay. Yeah.
But the island, they're going to compensate.
That's a conspiracy. They fucking just... His island killed itself.
Yeah, it's actually the top of
Can you
the
imagine
sub-
the real estate agent that's like stuck with that property? He's like, listen, it's a great island, lots of
might
beach.
find some
Formerly
weird-
owned sex island.
What is that? A temple over there? No.
We never even
There's
got into.
That's a storage shed.
It's a guest house.
What are we doing? Yeah.
Don't go down below the 7th level. We don't even know what's down there.
It's got a great cave of bones. And now that's you're paying a lot less.
You're going to
Usually
notice
islands
that
with
the living room is sort of owl god themed. There's sort of an owl god theme down here, and
And the theme from Rosemary's Baby is on a loop. And
we've got a lot of blood drainage systems in the basement. It's no extra cost. That's just, usually that's premium.
then there's a lab where they oxidize the adrenalized blood into adrenochrome and put it in vials. Yeah.
Yeah, it comes with a centrifuge
Fauci
to separate
is-
the adrenochrome from
Fauci's the one doing the
spinal
injection.
blood. Yeah. Anthony Fauci just Anthony Fauci there just like
your kids will love it.
I like to picture Anthony Fauci explaining how adrenochrome works, like the old guy from Jurassic Park. He's like got a cartoon DNA. He's like, we dig the DNA out of a baby's adrenal gland, and we injected it into George Soros's kidneys. And
Lo and behold, he's still fucking old.
he's been alive for 300 years. That's fantastic.
This paints like I'm visualizing like a movie on the island, and they're all there. And then in the last scene, they fight. They lift the lid off the ark, and Bill Gates' faces melt like Toth from Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Like the scene I'm talking about where the Nazis discovered the Ark of the Covenant, and then they
He's
lifted.
never seen a movie. He's
Okay.
What's a Nazi?
When he gets home, he just stares blankly at the wall.
Not another Zionist infiltrator. That's what that stands for.
All right.
Oh, that's a great note to close on.
Yeah, we've nailed it. Do you have anything you want to? Do you have any social media you want to plug or anything?
Jeff's got a podcast called "Was It Really 6 Million of Them?"
He's got a Jeff's got a podcast called "She Was Asking for It." It's
No, but it's called Yes 6 Million, but what about Stalin?
That's pretty good.
30
name for a
million.
that's the name of Dave Rubin's podcast. I think.
Was it really? Oh yeah, I could see that actually.
You gotta have a copyright dispute on your hands.
I'll reword it in such a way as to I can get around that.
You can find Jeff at Stalin Was Worse on Instagram, and
at fake chimneys.
The reason why they don't
tweet
think
him at
Stalin...
What About Mao?
Yeah, let's talk about Mao. 90 million, is that what it was? But he used
Could have been
he used
100.
prettier
Who knows?
words. That's the
We'll
whole...
save Mal for the next 3 hours.
Okay, good. All right.
All right. Well, we did it.
We did, yeah. That was...
goddamn 3 hours.
if I've...
It's a fucking Rogan podcast. We gotta...
God, yeah,
We
that's right.
connected most of the dots, I think.
Yeah.
We didn't get into the Nazi occultism angle, but that's fine.
That
Let's
is
just
true.
say they were into it. That's all. That's
good. They can figure that out.
They
on
can
there.
figure it out.
We didn't get into Oklahoma City. We didn't get into a lot of things.
Oh.
We have a lot of...
It's really one of the easiest conspiracies to believe in. You go, hey, you know that political group in Germany that genocided 6 million Jews? Apparently they were into dark magic.
Yeah, like what?
Weird, right?
Apparently they were occultists. They liked...
I mean, I told that literally
You know
to
that-
a German girl, and she went, nah.
no way.
For real. She's like, that's bullshit.
You know that Holocaust, which literally translates to burnt offering, might have had something to do with a magical sacrifice.
Here's something we uncovered. It turns out that Adolf Hitler had narcissistic personality disorder.
and a mustache, which is,
and
is
might have
worse.
been
Who
also
knows?
psychotic or something.
Yeah.
Might have
Okay,
had
David Icke.
All right, maybe I'm going to. He was. Yeah, but is that less plausible?
You're telling
than
me
he's a
Hitler
lizard?
didn't like his mother? Fucking Alex Jones, get off my show.